He's like, with my first move,
Karibo pops out. He's
Karibo
like,
pops
I
out.
got this.
Yeah.
And they're like, let me
Always
just multiply
Karibo,
this
too.
useful.
And then it always like ends and there's like the big, like it's just taking up the whole, except this little dot of Karibo on
Yep.
the ground.
That's all it is. That's
Good
all I
shit.
needed along the way.
Joey's like, hey, you're really playing the cards good over here, Yuki.
How did he do that?
How did he do that?
Was it luck?
They didn't have those cards in my local store. Not that I could afford them anyway as a hard scrapping youth from the streets.
God damn it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite anime subtype of character.
Joey is almost certainly my most favorite anime character of
Oh,
all
he's the
time.
best. He's the
So
best.
stupid. Just
They never
Chef
get
kiss.
smarter.
No. He gets
bro.
better, but
Yeah.
not smarter, which is the best.
Can
You learn from any of this, Joey? No, but I got this red-eyed black dragon though, and I'm gonna kick people's asses.
I just gotta use this all the time. Does that work?
Yeah.
Ah,
It turns out the reason I was losing was because my cards were bad.
they suck.
I haven't gotten any better skills-wise.
I don't understand the rules at all, but I think if I just trust luck in a 50-50 fucking coin flip, it'll all work out.
Oh, big whoop! I did 3,000 damage. Is that good?
I don't
Oh shit!
know.
This is over. Wow, that was easy.
And
I'm
as
Joey.
always, a good on-brand start for Tasty
Yes!
Boys. Why end any differently than
That
we
better
started?
than the start.
Oh, it was literally that
Yes!
entire. When you guys started talking Yu-Gi-Oh, I think basically from when Dan said, "Oh yeah," and then like Yugi, like it's his close personal friend. Like, oh yeah, Yugi is like
You
in there and
know.
he's doing this.
You.
Yeah. Oh, Yug.
I'm glad that my treatise on Joey from Yu-Gi-Oh made it to air. I can't remember his last name, so I'm just gonna say it's Fatone.
Sounds good.
Is he related to F Train?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a nephew or something.
Yeah.
Sure.
Q Train.
I got this nephew. He just plays these stupid cards all the time. Disappears to Egypt for like 3 months at a time. It's weird.
It's weird. It's real weird.
I just want to know, is it a hat or is it his hair?
Hair.
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 It's very much anime hair.
It's not like Toad. It's his hair.
It's
Yeah.
not like a military, one of those like
Nope.
Mark II military hats.
Nope, that is all natural hair. He wakes up and it's like that.
He woke up like that.
Pretty sure it's a hat.
Oddly
We've
enough,
stopped
in the-
doing a D&D campaign. Now we do Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Or-
So for
Well,
the
we're
7
D&D
viewers
punch.
right now, for everybody checking this out, welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh Talk instead of D&DT.
I got you.
I know you
That's
do.
my next every other Wednesday.
Mhm.
Nailed it.
I'm gonna be so empty without this.
Follow-
That's what I've got to resort to.
Twitch.tv/orinvite18.
Yeah,
More quality
I have yet
Yu-Gi-Oh,
to make a plan of what I'm going to do.
We all will. Well, hey, without further ado, shall we start?
Sure.
Do it.
One more time, let's hear the weird lady's voice.
Recording in progress.
Hey, and welcome to the finale of D and DDT. Man, should we start that again?
On
One more time?
brand.
No, let's just keep
No.
it. Keep it
I
on
missed-
brand.
I
Let's keep
missed-
going.
yeah,
Recording
I
stopped.
want to hear her voice.
No!
Oh.
Recording in progress.
Yay!
Welcome to the final episode of D and DDT with the one and only the Tasty Boys.
Tasty
Tasty
boys.
We're here for episode 140, part 3, which will bring a conclusion to over 3 years of gaming with 5 dear friends and me, your DM, the Beard. We have been streaming for the last, 40 episodes here on twitch.tv/knownworldunited. You can find the backlog of all of our exploits at dnddt.com, or follow Known World Unite on Twitter for more information on ongoing games here on this Twitch channel, and for the exploits of all of the other boys. At the end of the episode, we'll go around and let you know where you can find the boys, and then stick around afterwards, because we're going to be doing a finisher. We haven't done one in a while, a little after show to reflect on a pretty long, strange trip. So without further ado, I'll let the boys introduce themselves as we go around one last time, starting with the ringer.
All right, I am Nature D&D Ringer playing Bard Extraordinaire Horatio Hetfeld. Last time on D&D DT, I was going to get on a boat.
It's true.
True story.
I'm Warrior. I play Cletos Begor, spelled like it sounds. Minotaur Monk, Red Meat Babyface, Tune to Digger Doomtree, and Horatio Hetfeld, and a bunch of other stuff. Last time on D&D DT, I also got on a boat.
I am Orin Veidt, resident international Iron Man deathmatch superstar, sauce slinger, doom bringer, Esquire, and I play Digga Doomtree, Tabaxi Warlock of the Woods. Last time, I tried to give myself a title, as I'm opt to do after 3 years in the woods, and then boom, everything changed.
It's true.
True story.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for coming for tonight. Referee Dan Fitzgerald playing Lam Twilight Forge, Dwarven Thief Barbarian Swifty variety. Last time we were together, Lam is a bit beaten up. He's a bit beaten up right now, but we're good. We're good.
Didn't he get like whole 10 points of healing? Yeah, Horatio. Shout out to
It
Bard.
was
Healing.
7. It was 7.
Nice. Yoel?
All right, well, I'm Joel playing Big Bloody Rock Leafbottom, the halfling barbarian / monk. Last time, a casual disregard for the use of wild magic has changed my halfling into a 4-eyed smurf. And then I believe I got on a boat.
Yeah, when we left everyone, you had just been locked in combat with one Nebraska T. Shanker, vampire lord. You've been slaying for quite some time, trying to defeat his minions after he came through the heart of Derrende and executed. And executed the Baron. Yes, that Baron. Not a different Baron, not a very clean second Baron, but the Baron von Silly Namenstein. And then you all found yourself in a kind of separate realm. Digger, you found yourself stepping through the trunk of a tree out into the yonder of your youth, where shadow creatures were locked in combat with Captain Crunch. Cletos, Begor, you found yourself standing on the shore of completely white space, and the Gossamer Rex floating up with Lus and Elijah on board. Horatio seeing the visage of Ilyana, the High Mage, carved into the front of a ship called the Stargazer with Destrus and a grizzled Mad Jack Connolly looking much older than the last time they saw them, standing on the deck. Lam and Rock separate from one another, but both seeing the image of the dragonfly coming towards them. For Rock, a large spread on the deck, similar to what existed when the Gossamer Rex was moored on the plane of elemental air before you guys came back through. And for Lam, seeing a young version or younger version of his father, of Manfred, and of Lucius. And that's where we're going to pick up. You all are existing, except for Digger, in a kind of plane of white space. Everything is incredibly even. The only thing that kind of shows in 3 dimensions for you, or kind of feels real at this moment, is that kind of ship that is coming towards each of you and kind of docking. As you actually, why doesn't everybody roll me initiative?
Yo, what the hell?
We'll see how this is all going to play out.
I'm sorry. Just pause, Joel. I just looked at what you put in the chat.
Yeah, he blew himself.
Oh man, you smurfed on.
Never leave the house.
All right, what did everybody get? Ratio?
Is this including our initial bonus or just the roll?
Yes, absolutely.
22.
22 for Horatio. Cletos?
20.
20 for Cletos. Digger? What was
You're
it?
muted, buddy.
12.
12. Lam?
Natural 20 for 22 on the brand new set of die, and that's my first roll, so
That's
good stuff.
it bodes well. And Rock?
20.
Man, rolling off our asses tonight. Horatio and Lam, what are your dex bonuses? You both 2?
I got +2.
Oh, +4.
Ooh,
All right.
man, why? I feel like I should know that at this point in the game. That's very impressive.
I don't know mine either.
Cletos, what is yours? 4, 5. Okay. So you'll go before Rock, I assume.
Probably.
All right. So Horatio, you see the Stargazer coming closer as it kind of arrives at the kind of space in the distance that you feel like you can walk to. You also kind of catch out of the corner of your eye a much younger or much older individual that you recognize as Sir William of Gish, 8th in line to the throne, one of your former adventuring parties. And he has with him a series of individuals, and you're viewing all of this through what appears to be kind of like a cut doorway in just the kind of whiteness of this kind of vast space. And you can hear him speaking about the kind of opportunity before us. And he goes on to explain that as has been the case, kind of lo these many years with the lost continents, the kind of veil between worlds spreads itself thin on occasion, and we have just such an occasion that has been presented to us. And whether we would re-enter the known world as the pilgrims that came to this land knew it, or a new world, this is our opportunity to bring the kingdom into a kind of another realm. And just as I left my post, being 8th in line to establish a reign here, it is now my time to step aside, so that others might rule, and so that we might spread the good word to a new land, and to become pilgrims once again. All right, Lam, you see the dragonfly there with kind of younger versions of some of your friends and compatriots. As they grow closer, they grow older and more akin to the kind of age that you recognize them as. The faces on deck also age, and you see some kind of like fade out and some kind of new faces fade back in that you recognize from your time just before your departure to work at Ye Old Black Rooster. Don't forget, baby, still got that sweet job waiting for you. You don't. No, you don't.
No, I don't. I got fired a long
you
time
got-
ago
you got
after
really
episode
fired. You were
3.
terrible at that job. Yeah, much better as a deckhand. So you see that ship coming closer to you to kind of dock in this kind of white vastness. And for you, similarly to Horatio, you see this kind of door open. For you, it is your mother at home, Forest Lake Town. She's cooking up what can charitably be called your favorite meal. The McKillface is maybe never known as culinary masters, but for you, the kind of simple pleasures and memories, the kind of olfactory trigger of this kind of meal from your childhood, brings a kind of warmth to your chest. As you kind of look up on the deck of the ship, you see that as they kind of make dock, your father is slowly kind of starting to kind of fade away, and you kind of hear in the distance Mom McKillface kind of calling out your name. Kletos, you see the Gossamer Rex with Lus and Elijah, two of your lifebound mates, on the deck. As it pulls in closer to you, you also see the kind of doorway open, and through the doorway for you, you see an unfamiliar space, but you can hear a familiar sound, as none other than Thirst and Quencher is talking about this will be the greatest success that we have ever seen, because although Kletos may not be here, Calcium lives on, and we established this new space in the bay here. Not New King's Bay. That place is gone and in the past, just like the Tasty Boys. But the good work that we do to carry on here at Calcium is here at Cheddar Bay. And Cheddar Bay, Calcium will be a force for good in the world, and we will continue on in the teachings of life and in the teachings of kindness and charity to our fellow boys. We flash over to Rock. Rock, similar, your ship comes to more on this. I don't know how we ended up rolling so nicely to have some of these congruencies, and also to have Digger go last, who is in a totally different place. But I appreciate the dice cooperating for an evening. Joel, you see this ship rolling in. As the kind of ship gets closer and closer, you see the spread kind of growing more and more robust. The skeletons are kind of slowly being more and more kind of populated as individuals show up on the deck. There you recognize people that you did not spend a good amount of time with, but Chef Josephus Shank and Tasty Pete are there on the deck, and you can see on the side of the ship, just painted really kind of crudely, is it says Tasty BBQ, and they have like this big pit. And there's like a dancing skeleton on the side of the thing, and kind of scrawled on the bottom it says, "Best ribs in all the land." And you can see this just like smoke is billowing, so much that you think that there's like a fire on deck, but it turns out that they've just kind of like jerry-rigged this huge smoker, and you can see some smoke mephits prancing around on deck, kind of moving through. A couple of them kind of riding the backs of skeletons as the ship grows closer and closer. For you, the door kind of opens out of the kind of plane of light, and you see you see your mother cooking up what can only be described as the wettest ass pork chop you have ever seen. The aromas flood your senses to the point where you are kind of like being pulled by one nostril and the other nostril between this like glorious, kind of barbecue smoked feast on the deck of this ship, and your mother's home cooking that you've not tasted in years since you departed to make her proud and to end conflict at the end of your acts. And finally, Digger, you see Captain Crunch kind of out in yonder. This is a place that you've not been, as I said in the previous episode, since you were basically conscripted to pay off your debts in the mines. And you kind of feel that that kind of passage through this like veil into the shadow realm, and it at the same time makes you feel kind of your blood run cold, but you feel this this kind of richness in your veins, and you feel that kind of like ping in the back of your kind of neck when you drink like a mint tea or something, where you have that kind of like buzz within you. You feel like your senses are just alight, and you kind of run off into the distance. You feel compelled to reach down to your side, where you see there's an entire quiver full of arrows kind of at your base. They're the kind of long, spindly, limbs of trees with these kind of natural arrowheads and leaves kind of beyond the back. And your bow that you have strung across your chest. You also feel at your back a crossbow, not unlike the one that you previously used. And as you pull it around, you see that it's inlay with kind of rich golden filigree, as it looks like roots of the world tree kind of coming out and bowing up across the bowed piece and the trigger, which as you hold it out, you feel it kind of like grow out and materialize, and it doesn't look like it's made out of wood. It looks like it's literally kind of like fairy light as you go to combat. Back to Horatio. Horatio, you as your kind of senses are pulling you in both of these directions, you find yourself seeing an individual that appears kind of in the foreground of this kind of whiteness, and you recognize her as Cassandra Strongbrew, wife of the professor. And she says to you, Horatio, at this place where all of the roots meet and connect the realms, I am here to offer you a choice. Well, either of these avenues are open to you in the kind of realm of the world tree. We can all opportunity that you cannot walk alone. If you are to take this opportunity over the others, it can grant you the boon of traveling back, but not traveling forward in time. But you must agree as a family to the point in time that you will journey. So I offer you this in the service of my husband and in the service of the prime material plane and all the adjacent planes that you have saved from a great evil. It rolls through Lam, You're also visited by Cassandra. She says that you might visit these two places, but you might also travel back in time with the boys to any point in your time together, but that it must be a decision you come to jointly. And you must choose to walk one of these three paths. Kletos, Cassandra appears to you as well. She says that these avenues are open to you in a place where all magic flows from the world tree. When we wonder where this comes from, it is the song that flows in the wind through the leaves of these trees that connect all of our realms that the bards pull from. It is the wood that we use to create the ships that fly, and the wands and the staffs and the magical channeling of all of the richness of the world. And it is also the wood that frames these doorways within which you walk that can bring you to these potential futures. Rock, she walks up to you, and I need you to make me a history check.
17.
You have no idea who this is. This like, it just shows up. There's your mom, there's like a barbecue ship, and there's just some random lady. And she walks up to you and she says, Rock, though we have not met, I do believe that the goodness in your heart and the family that you have come to know through blood and through battle is one that we wish to offer you in the choices that you have to make at this point. And she says that basically, again, you can choose the ship or the door, or you can choose to walk with the boys once more into the past, but you all need to decide on where you go. And so I'd like you all to send me a message and let me know what you'd like to do. Door, ship, chronomancy. And if you choose chronomancy, where you want to go. And this is where we get the copyright strike. Because I'm going to sing songs. Digger, you are kind of thrown into battle, and for what seems like 3 years, you fight these kind of beings in the Shadow Realm. Captain Crunch grows into the big strong boy that we always, that you always said that he was. He is, kind of panther-like in his size now, and like to the point where you being a cat and being light, could actually kind of ride him into battle, and you find yourself in battle, kind of constantly against these kind of shadow beings here in this realm. But for you, as long as you are together with Captain Crunch, this feels like darkness invading yonder. It's like this big open kind of Elysian fields, and you are just kind of like bounding, kind of tiring but never kind of stopping in this. And as you continue to do this, you continue to be able to draw from the forest, and the kind of connection that you feel to that as a kind of guardian of the forest and of Darrenday, kind of continues. Your strength grows as you continue to fight these things. All right.
Hell yeah.
Going to bring up this. Boop. I gotta bounce this out. Pop out. All right. There we go. So now we are going to see where we go. I missed you saying counterspell. All right. Yes, you do get the sense that Neb was defeated. I'm going to kind of answer the questions that have been placed before me before I kind of move into the next.
Will you seal our fates?
Yes. Well, when you seal your fates, I gave you a bunch of options. All right. This is very interesting. All right. I'm very pleased and surprised by all of these. These are super, super interesting. So you, Kletos, you, as you kind of reach out, the ship grows closer and closer to you. You see on board Lus and Elijah, and they both kind of stand as they kind of drop a ladder to you, and you're able to climb on board.
It just jumps up onto the ship.
Just like willy-nilly.
He's got those fancy boots, man. He can jump real high.
That is true. So yeah, you jump onto the ship with Elijah and Les. The other three of you are suddenly standing in this open white plain together with Cassandra. Rock, Lam, and Horatio. You find yourself standing before the woman who two of you recognize as the professor's wife, and one of you recognizes some strange lady who offered you an opportunity to stay with the Boyz. And she says to the three of you that you've been given this opportunity, and now you must choose the point in which you will return. Lam, you wish to return before you made a mistake that you feel on your conscience, and I can see that it weighs on you and has weighed on you. Rock, you choose to follow your friends, though you may not know where it will take you. And Horatio, you have the compassion in your heart to travel back to save that which is lost. And she kind of puts her hands up, and you see her kind of hold out this amulet. And at the center of this amulet, you see this large crystal shard, and she puts it up like she is literally kind of touching the kind of plane of this whiteness, and it starts to kind of melt this away, and you see the whiteness start to fade into the distance, and you are kind of looking into New King's Bay of previous time, and she says, the opportunities that you wish to remedy lie through this place. May you walk together if you so choose. And at that moment, you see that kind of fade away, but for the three of you, you also kind of see kind of multiplicity of these kind of ships and doors, kind of all kind of melting this whiteness away, and you feel as though you can walk through this kind of thin veil together, or you can kind of choose to walk the paths that were offered up to you.
All right, boys.
Once more into the abyss.
I want to go home, but I can't leave until I finish what I'm here for. So let's go save the Baron's daughter.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
One,
so,
2, 3.
So Rock, Lom, Horatio, you go back in time. Cletos, you're on the deck of the Gossamer Rex, and Lus and Elijah greet you and ask you where you'd like to go.
Where are we? How'd you even get here?
We were drawn here to you through the bond that we share.
Oh wow, that's pretty impressive. Good job, me.
There's also 2 trees on board and a
and a dire wolf.
Yeah. It's all good.
Is that a clown dancing on a barrel?
Is that a rug or the tongue of Durende? Well, I don't know. I got some work to do. Let's go back to New Kings Bay. See how Calcium is doing.
All right. So you guys set sail for New Kings Bay. What I'd like to do is I'd like to offer this as we wrap up our time together. I would like to grant each of you a session to explore the future of your characters. I'd like to run them as one-shots. I'd like to broadcast them on Known World United. I'd like them to be fun reunions throughout the year in 2022 that we can find time to get together and live stream and or just record as a way to wrap these characters up or explore a moment. It can be the moment that you are exploring or that you chose of these 3. It could be something else, but I'd like to kind of see where everyone ends up. I'll say that in my epilogue, in the way that I kind of picture this playing out, regardless of kind of where it goes, I'm very, very happy that for the first time I ran a ongoing campaign, that it was with all of you and with anticipated King, even Riley for his 1 interception. With Clark, with Miss JL, with Silverback. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been a lot of characters, and from everyone that we started with, Theodorus and Hank, and Chef to the Professor and Elijah, Thurston, Flick, Russell Regal. It's been a super trip to kind of go through all of this, and I'll leave you with one kind of epilogue piece that I'd like, kind of regardless of all of this, which is Cletos 3 years later, managing Calcium, when one night he awakes to feel the life bond with Digger reappear, and he sits up with a start and says, "Somewhere out there." And that's where we'll fade to black on the final episode of D&D DT with the one and only Tasty Boys.
Tasty Boys!
Interdimensional.
All right.
Recording
And
stopped.
that's where we'll end the last episode. I do want to do a finisher. It'd be fun to kind of back. I'm not going to run this like a recap show because I know that can be exhausting. But we spent a lot of time in the woods.
Sure.
And there was a lot of weird
Imagine
shit that
how
happened.
long I spent in the woods.
Yeah.
So many. Stay tuned for DDT, The Lost Years. Starring Digger Doomtree.
That's my one shot.
Yeah.
My one shot is 3 years in the woods.
I want it.
Just solo. It's a solo.
Yep.
We just play woodland creatures.
Yeah.
So I think unless people want to take a break, I thought we'd just do a finisher. I'll hit record. We'll kind of have it in, and then this was really unanticipated. So like I'm really excited about like this option. I had thought about chronomancy as this kind of like weird thing. Well, we'll save it for the finisher.
Yeah. I mean, that was short. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Recording in progress.
Hello and welcome to the final finisher of D&DDT with the one and only Tasty Boys.
Tasty
Boys.
We've wrapped up 3.5 years of playing D&D together. We've had many friends join us along the journey as we've podcasted, as we've streamed, as we've played here in person at Fantasy Flight, at Nate's house, kind of everywhere under the sun. Ben's house. God, that feels like a lifetime.
Forever ago.
But yeah, we're just here. We're going to do a finisher, talk about this last arc that happened in this lovely book that probably won't show up. Oh, just kidding, it will. Tales of the Old Margrave. Thank you to Ben, Your King Ginger, for sharing this with me. It is a Kobold Press book. And it's fantastic. It's one of my favorites. A lot of Kobold Press deals with kind of Brothers Grimm and kind of Eastern European kind of fairy tale settings. So there's a lot of really cool things as well as like shamanic magics and man, everything in here. So it's really a cool opportunity to kind of jump into a totally different setting for this last like big chapter. But yeah, I'll let the boys introduce themselves as we go around. As always, you can go back, listen to old episodes on dnddt.com. You can follow at Known World Unite on Twitter for more information about what we'll be doing, some one-shots that we'll talk about here throughout 2022, and maybe we'll reunite for an extra live session. Who knows? Who knows when the boys will get back together? But I'll let the ringer start us off, and then we'll go around and do a little chatski.
All right, I am Nature, a D&D ringer. I played Bardic. I can't talk. I played Bard Extraordinaire Horatio Hetfeld, but also everyone's favorite cleric of Torm, who almost got killed by a fallen cow, Theodorus O'Toole.
Still one of the best moments in this entire campaign.
True.
I'm Warrior. I played Kletos Begor, spelled like it sounds. It's hard to not do the whole thing. It's weird.
Right.
Red Me Babyface, Minotaur Monk. Tuned to stuff.
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. Last time I did get on the boat.
I am Orin Vite, resident international Iron Man Deathmatch superstar. And I play Digga Doomtree, Tabaxi Warlock of the Woods, and Void, and many other things.
I'm referee Dan Fitzgerald. I played Lom McHillface Twilight Forge.
Hyphenated last name.
Swift Barbarian of the Swift variety, while Master Thief. And yeah, last time he chose magic for the very first and probably only time in his life he'll choose magic. Man.
Joel.
And I'm Joel. Who haven't I played? Flick Mixel, Kathleen Wild Magic Sorcerer, who showed up for 1 or 2 episodes. Was Conrad on Tasty Boys, or was that a different?
That was a different one. That was the one that Ben ran.
Okay. No, you were running it.
I was.
Yeah.
I don't think it
I
was
just
Tasty
remember
Boys.
I got into Conrad got in a fight with the other dude while talking to the Furbolg.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think
We
that
did it.
was this, but
We
maybe
did have a Furbolg here.
we did.
Mhm.
Yeah, but to be fair, we had a Furbolg in many places.
What was the dude's name? Big dude, dark hair.
Big dude, dark hair. Not familiar.
Silverback?
Yeah. He was playing at the same time.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe that was.
Oh, maybe Ben was running that. Okay, never mind
I
that.
think that was
Wait,
Ben.
wait,
I think
this-
Ben was running that one.
Was that the Young Dragons?
That might
think
be.
Yeah, that was Young Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
was
because
Young
I was
Dragons.
playing a.
By the way, in the D&DDT universe,
And
It is.
later on, that was us. I think that was one episode. And then later on, about 2/3 of the way through, came in as Big Bloody Rock Leaf Bottom, the halfling barbarian turned monk.
one of the best character developments in the entirety of the Tasty Boys was the Rock Kletos dynamic, and man, there was some good role playing moments from that. Like you just being like, "Hey man, like Baron, I understand you're grieving some shit. This is heavy. Just beat me up until you feel better. Like I always feel better when I beat shit up. Like you just beat me up. It's cool." Or you could try drowning me in a water bubble, whatever.
More advanced.
Yeah. And hey, I'm the Beard. I've been the DM. This is my first ever ongoing campaign, and it lasted 3.5 years, which is a real testament, I think, to being able to tell collaborative stories with a bunch of good folks over the last 140 plus episodes. But I thought maybe if you guys had questions or thoughts or things you wanted to talk about from this last arc, I don't think we've done a finisher since you guys came to the forest.
Nope.
we did one I think right before we came to the forest,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
Well.
But can we just do full on end of campaign questions and things like
Yeah,
that?
we can do this. Everything's on the table. Yeah.
What happened to Flare Town? That's been killing me since we wrote past it.
That's
Yeah.
another
Killing
one shot.
I think it was killing you. You should see Flare Town.
Elijah happened to Flaretown. I mean, in my headcanon, Elijah, when he went off, was going to address the kind of happenings with the Void there. All the kind of nasty stuff was tied into the Void, and so I think that in my mind, as the Void's power in this realm subsided, Elijah and other people that were attempting to do good in the world and try to address some of the kind of evil deeds that were being done in the Void's name were eventually kind of able to wrangle that to the ground. Flaretown remains one of the oldest towns with the longest lines, even though it is completely past its relevancy. Known as one of the greatest towns of all time, but has some real bad some real bad people that live there still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where I think in my mind it went. As Elijah came back, I mean, I was always thinking about what these characters might have been doing or how they might have been kind of seeing themselves out in the world. So in case you guys pulled a hard left and it was let's talk about what Elijah's been doing for the last year, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I have to have something in my head about that. So that's in my head. That was what he spent that time. Basically once Warrior came back to Kletos, and Elijah was going off on that mission. That was basically the mission I had in my head for him.
Weird.
Yeah, juicy, I guess.
Did we beat the giant vampire?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Once
one of those,
again, me. I final kill, big boss. You know,
Wait.
that's literally what Digger was here to do. You know, just get the final on the big bads.
Did we use fire and or sunlight, or did he just turn into mist and F
No,
off?
so I think
I
that
can punch mist, so he couldn't have effed off.
one of the things that's
Not actually.
interesting to me about the Margrave is that, as many of you probably experienced, magic doesn't work quite the same way, and so I think that by entering into this realm, the kind of bonds of like how vampires can be hurt, I kind of threw out the window a bit, in that they just had kind of their pure HP essentially.
Oh, they turned mortal essentially.
Well, no, I mean, basically, like when they came into this realm, they knew that they were going to be shedding some of the power that they have in the prime material plane, because magic wouldn't work the same. And so I think, especially at the kind of heart of Darren Day, you know, the power that some of you had with your connection to the forest was enough. We talked about it, I think, at one point, that there's essentially like a favor of the forest, and that you can like gain or lose favor, and that affects how dramatically your magic is affected if you are a kind of a magic user, or how you know, things like Kledos's life bond or like ki might, you know, go haywire, because like the energy flow is not the same in this place. But the closer you got to these kind of life bound things, the kind of stronger or more able to kind of overcome some of those things both Rock and Kledos became. So similarly, you know, with Neb, I mean, he had 8 bajillion hit points, but you know, there's also 5 of you at 15th level, so it's a little beefier. He definitely, I beefed him up from being a kind of full on vampire to being a vampire lord, which is, you know, a lot. Has some legendary actions, has some things like that. Had like powered him all the way up so that he had that, basically just that one 9th level spell, but I wasn't going to tell you guys that. You know, like I wanted him coming through and power word killing the Baron, which is thanks to watching and reading like way too many articles and videos of like how to end a D&D campaign, because as I mentioned, I have never done that, and I don't know that I've ever been a part of a campaign that has ended.
Yeah.
Thin Veil didn't end. First Group didn't end. I was there for the last 2 episodes of fourth edition with King's Group, but that wasn't, you know, I mean, it was ending for everybody, but for me it was like I'm learning how to play D&D, and it's like very high level. So 5th edition was kind of a revelation, but yeah, I didn't really anticipate that. That wasn't kind of where I thought things might end, but once I thought about like who's the actual bad guy in all of this, because I think I said before to you guys, even though we haven't said it, you know, like on a finisher, to me the Baron was like Dr. Doom. You know, he's this kind of tragic figure that like let that tragedy go like way too far and takes it out on not necessarily the right people, even though if you kind of dig into it, you might be able to kind of see where his brain and logic went, even if it's like not totally sane. But for me, I thought that the only thing that would be better than you guys having a big bad fight against the Baron would be the Baron coming back and basically like saying that, you know, the trial of you being in this space was actually kind of forgiveness, but it was also kind of like, would you make the same decision if you were able to be there in time? Like, would the same thing play out? And so that was kind of my thinking, and I was like, oh well, if he becomes a tragic character, like who's the person that you all are like well, this guy tried to fuck on us, and we wanted shit on his cereal, you know. And I was like, oh, Nebraska. I was like, Nebraska's actually the kind of big bad. Like, he became more of a villain and basically gave up his humanity because of y'all's actions. So, you know, in some respect, he's kind of a tragic character, but he's still a villain, like, through and through. Whereas I feel like the Baron, you could see his reasoning, even if he was being a total, you know, evil prick about it.
See, I always assumed it was going to be the Void.
Me too.
I think that it would have been, but once you decided not to kill Kletos, it for me it was no longer about the Void, because you'd made that decision. Like, you'd already defeated the Void by, like, giving it up. And for me, the kind of return to that, I think, felt like rehashing. In that, like, to a certain extent, it's another chapter of Tasty Boys. It could be something that you know, Horatio would encounter if he went back to Thinvale. It's, you know, a one shot we could do down the road, but to a certain extent, like, you had kind of purged him, and then, like, came to the forest, and the longer you were in the forest, the less you became dependent on that. And I felt like that character growth to, like, go back to fight the Void would have been, like, I don't know, like, yeah, I don't know, like rehashing a old relationship, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's one of those things where, like, in my head, it was always going to be, like, the Void from the beginning, where it was always, like, the Void was causing every bad thing, because Digger was the one that inherently, like, even if he'd do the right thing at the end and save the day, he was causing a lot of the shit by making deals with the Void and not caring at all the repercussions that it had on the group.
Yeah.
And it, like, the assumed continued, like, overarching power of this, you know, powerful deity that gave me all these pretty hefty powers. I was like, oh man, this is weird. It's like fighting God at that point.
Yeah.
It essentially is what it felt like. I was like, but how would you go about fighting God other than in the form that Horatio and I saw him?
Yeah.
And that was one that I think stayed around through character growth, because it kept setting me back, or, you know, like, it makes sense though that once I didn't kill Kletos, despite offhandedly trying, and be like, look, man, if it happens, it happens, but I'm not going to intentionally try to kill this guy. And that makes sense though, like, coming that way, and then having to deal with all of the repercussions of shit doesn't work, it backfires on me, having to find a different way to do things, actually, like, eating shit and dropping below zero.
Yeah.
You know, once I didn't have the Void's power anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like, there was actual repercussions of leaving that. So I think that makes more sense to me that way.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I mean, if you guys were 20th level, and if we, you know, played another, you know, year of this, maybe you get back to the Void, or you all go with Horatio and confront him, and maybe that's something that we do, you know, in the kind of one-shot epilogues. But for me, I think at this point, like I said, I think I was ready for something different, ready to kind of play in a different setting, and I also thought kind of bringing you all back together as a group without some, like, agency of giving you guys decisions on where you'd like your characters to go, or for the opportunity to, you know, kind of make that decision to be essentially the kind of champion. Because any of you could have. I that was totally open. It was not kind of like I wrote this for Digger, and that was actually kind of part of the heart module. And basically, if someone doesn't get chosen, it chooses this like. It chooses like a very humble like moth and like turns it into freaking Mothra, and you guys have to like it goes crazy because it goes to the Shadow Realm and then it comes back and it's mad from fighting, like insane from fighting in the Shadow Realm. But yeah, I wanted it to kind of be open to somebody stepping into that spot, and so for me, Digger actually stepping into that spot was a very like satisfying. Not necessarily ending per se, but it was like, to me there was some kind of hero's journey like return, but being changed, being able to like be with, maybe the one creature you actually truly loved and cared for the entire time, but like actually some kind of poetry to like fighting these kind of void like beings, in order to kind of allowing the kind of forest heart to beat again, and like most things, 3 years in the Shadow Realm is not 3 years in the Prime Material Plane or in the Margrave. So
Let me tell you, 3 years in any type of setting without all of your adventuring party, it gets real weird.
And without your stuff.
Oh man, that was the
Even
hardest
worse.
part.
Don't have my stuff.
I showed up poor, no weapons, no nothing. Just a man in his wasp garb, which was taken offensively by a lot of the wasps in the woods, man.
Understand.
How hard that was to explain.
How many
no.
3 years did it take you to figure out to ditch those?
Oh, it took at least 2.5
Question: How long
before I finally got
they
off my soapbox.
disintegrated? Let's be real. You've been wearing them since like episode 15. They had to have
I have.
disintegrated by now. So they're less yellow and black and just more like brown and black or something like
if
that.
there's one group that never seems to go away, it's wasps.
Yeah.
So.
Always. The only regret I have in this entire campaign is that I didn't continue to try to skin and make new clothes out of every creature we ever beat except the Boule.
No, you did do a couple other creatures.
No, it
but you
was-
didn't do- No, you didn't use the things for anything. You just kind of collected stuff for like a few episodes.
Yeah, but I
And then
didn't
you did
continue
nothing
to
with
add
them.
it the way I wanted to. Like
No,
I
you
added
just,
like
like-
a pauldron and like, but I didn't stick to it, the way I did to the wasp mandible and the,
Yeah.
So just as a what if,
Yes.
what would you have made out of the old man you murdered on the boat?
Oh man, yeah, that would have been like the cover of like my Necronomicon. Like I would have like like the book sleeves you had to get in school for your books.
The ones you made out of grocery bags?
Yeah, that would have been what I would have done with the old man's flesh that was left over and put on like the tome of the Mad Mage that I carried around. Yeah, slap that baby on there.
That's way better than the world's worst protein shake. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'll just put it in a cup.
It might as well.
God.
Look, he had it coming. That was
He did not have that coming.
That dude was worse to me than the Void ever was to anybody.
Why was he worse to you?
Did you hear his voice?
His voice was creepy.
No, I don't hear much of anything. If you remember,
That was Beard trolling me from the beginning when I was like, "Ooh, let's do some private dicking," and he's like, "Sure, fuck you, we're gonna do this."
Oh, you kidding me? That's some of the best moments in the entire campaign when we were trying to screw with Beard and he was screwing us back, and it's hilarious.
It made me so mad.
Dude, he made me a grandma aunt, and I'm just like, crap, family, and then
The
he's just
Yanti?
pulling me by.
We still need to investigate the Yanti infestation.
And just pulling me by the ear thing. It's just like,
We just let the Yanti like assimilation go. We never figured that out.
It's a true story.
Loose ends, guys.
Other thoughts, questions, things that have been bugging you, things that you enjoyed.
So you talked, or you mentioned the Song of the Forest a couple different times.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't actually say what it was. So I'm curious what you think it was and why you didn't pick Extreme Wholehearted.
For me,
Extreme.
I've always been taken with the description in fifth edition of Bards. Like I love the idea that they like kind of pluck these melodies from the kind of world song that is a part of the magic. And so to me, like once you guys entered the forest, the kind of beauty of a bard kind of hearing things like only through the kind of wind kind of rustling through the trees just felt kind of, I don't know, whimsical. So I liked the opportunity for it to be like a continuation of a single song throughout, um, and you know, and kind of connecting it to some of the other songs that you'd heard. You know, once you were near the kind of world tree that was in the Baron's place, hearing that kind of, it's like when you hear like a melody, but it's been like modulated or it like is up a fifth or something like that. There's like something really kind of lovely, like when people harmonize, but you hear like the individual kind of moments of that. To me, like a bard, like might hear the same song regardless of which plane that they're on, but it might be kind of modulated differently, or they might hear it like, you know, through different kind of pieces of that world. So I feel like if you feel like it's extreme, then it's extreme. I mean, it's what you hear. I mean, you're the author of that. I just
It's more than words.
Yeah. Oh God.
No, that's a different song.
Yeah. It's a different extreme song that sounds really different. Really different.
I was totally gonna say that I had that stuck in my head if I got on the boat, but then you threw the other thing at me, so I couldn't resist going back to save the daughter.
I mean, I'm really interested. Maybe if everybody wants to go around to like share their thoughts, and if they hadn't been given chronomancy as an option, or kind of when you were hearing the options, like what stood out, like what were pros and cons, or you know, were there any that really you know, like were there any that kind of like were enticing more than others?
Yeah, until you gave me chronomancy, I was getting on the boat.
Yeah.
Going back to my friends and seeing what I could do to fuck up Yilmaz.
I was really surprised. Maybe more than anyone, I was like counting on you to be like, I've done my part here, because to me, you know, kind of similar to like Digger's relationship with the Void, I was really like, you know, like Horatio's journey is complete, and he's kind of, you know, this feels like an album to me. You know, it's like it's time to start the next album, or you know, go work with an old producer and, you know, kind of see where that goes. But yeah, I don't know. Chronomancy kind of came to me late, but I was like, the boys have to either like consciously choose to stay together, or they have to like kind of say that like they've done everything that they wanted to do, and that they're like ready to walk separate paths for now.
Sure.
So I thought that was a wrinkle that would be interesting to see kind of how it played out. And like I said, I was pleasantly surprised / like very surprised at the kind of outcome.
Well, and since you gave me chronomancy as an option with the Baron's turn at the end there, I couldn't not do a remix and go back and try to save the daughter.
Yeah, super interesting. So yeah, so that was Horatio's save, was basically he wanted to go back to save the Baron's daughter. Oh, Worrier?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, Kletos, his whole through line is, you know, what you've done makes who you are, and you're responsible for what you've done. And he likes where he is. He understands that bad things happen, and whatever level of responsibility he has for that, he's atoned for, and will continue to do so in his own way. I think he finds the idea of changing the past a little bit abhorrent. Like, he is not interested in doing that. He's interested in changing the future and changing the present for people. And I think, so that was why he didn't go with chronomancy. Although it was tempting to fuck around and say he goes to clean old Chicago. I'm not gonna lie.
Again?
And the sort of the door option was not as appealing to Cletos, because I think he has his own vision of what he wants to do, and it's important to him that he is in control of his life. And I don't think he liked the idea, as much as he likes Thurston, he didn't like the idea of Thurston or Tasty Boys Interdimensional, being a part of Calcium. Like, that's its own thing, and it shouldn't be tied to a business. It shouldn't be tied to various things. He has very particular ideas of like what that should be, and whether they work or not, remains to be seen. So he wasn't really interested in that one. But he can go wherever he wants with his, some of his other pals. Like, yeah, he's going to do that. He probably owes Elijah some time, honestly, by now. And maybe less too. So, I think he's also stoked to like pal around with them for a while. I think, I don't know. I feel like it would have been interesting to see how it would play out if anyone else had been present for that decision. Like, if it wasn't a wholly independent decision,
yeah,
and there were different opportunities, if he'd been able to say goodbye or whatever. I don't know that it would have changed the overall if those remained the options, but that would have been an interesting thing to play out. But yeah, he is all about taking responsibility for what he's done, and he'll make better now rather than then.
Yeah. I couldn't resist after we had that conversation and we joked about Cheddar Bay. I was like, Thurston and Cheddar Bay, like, has to be an option. Has to be put on the table.
Sure.
You gotta put them biscuits on the table.
Got to put it on the table. I did like the cut to 3 years later, not just because of 3 years later, which I appreciate. But it's also like very in line with, I think, how I imagined that moment being for Cletos. Like initially I was very like concerned about like, oh, he doesn't get to say anything to anybody, but then I'm like, well, he'll see them all again. He'll know exactly where Digger is when he's around. He'll know exactly where Horatio is when he's around. He has a network of people and an interdimensional business that can probably find people. Like, he's not super worried about it. He's very big picture. So he's like, wait, no, this is fine. This is chill. We're all going to go, we're all going to go do our own thing. And when it's time to be back together, if it's time to be back together, we'll be back together. So.
And I still have sending too, so I could always message folks.
Is sending work through time?
That's a good question.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah.
It'll be spotty. But
I
we'll
mean,
get
sooner
the
or later.
gist.
But when hasn't it been?
But here's the thing. Sooner or later, time catches up. So it would be 3 years later, no matter what.
Horatio will have written a note on a piece of paper and put it into a dresser that he arranges to be part of, be made by the Woodworking Guild.
Yep.
He's made or whatever. And one day, Cletus like opens a drawer. He's like, "Hey, there's a note from Horatio in
Hey,
here."
yeah, my new dresser. Oh shit.
It's the note from Digger.
Hey man, I forgot to send this.
Hey, I'm real sorry. Else.
I guess when it comes to me, I I guess I wasn't entirely understanding what the options were because my head went like dragonfly means more adventures but work, but going back to like Forest Lake seems like retirement of sorts, but not really because Lam having his own troubles back home because that was another
Everybody
thing I was
thinks
gonna
he's dead.
well, not just that. It's just more like, oh, goody. It's like I was wondering if we were ever gonna go to Forest Lake Town because I'm like, oh, right, the guards don't like me, and we try to go through the gates. It'll just be a mess.
They all think you're dead, Lom. They just know your cousin.
Oh yeah, no, I mean for sure, and that's a whole nother thing. Oh yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But
It is
it's
a whole
just, but
nother
when you
thing.
gave the option of Chronomancer, it's like, well, there is one thing.
And
at
what was
least.
so? If you're willing to share, what was your chronomancy wish, essentially?
I was just hoping, it would just flash me back to like moments before. You know what I mean? I would have probably just clicked
Before
the lighter
what?
down.
Because I didn't
Me
share.
burning-
Nobody else could see it.
Me burning down the bar. I was gonna like probably click the lighter and just do it the old-fashioned way, kick in the back door and do it the old-fashioned way.
Find a bunch of kids and beat them up.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. Go in there and beat up a bunch of orphans. Absolutely.
that's on.
You heard it here first.
Oh, y'all are
folks.
evil! I'm not gonna burn you to death, but I'm gonna kick your ass.
I mean, you are known for throwing lightning bottles at children.
You are.
Mm,
Hey,
True story.
Granted, those were
True
dragon
story.
children.
There were less children and more.
That's what made him a
intense, let's be
dragon
real
thief,
here.
though. He robbed them of their lives.
Also,
here's the
those
thing.
kids are not vampires. They're fine.
No.
Fine.
Wait.
But
Jury's still out.
Are they not vampires?
They're not vampires. They're
You
fine.
really think those kids were hardy enough to survive the vampire invasion of '97?
Although, so if we kill Neb, does that unvampirize all the people?
That's only
We killed them in a
that's
different
werewolf.
plane.
That's werewolves. And no.
We'll see.
Not
No, but then
vampires.
you have to kill the original one,
And who is
like
that?
the original werecar. It was one of the crabs, but it was just one of them. It was like one
Man,
of the.
that would have been such
one of
a
the
good
horde we didn't
twist.
kill.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like
Yeah,
a
they're-
crab that can speak directly into your brain comes
Yeah.
through and kills the Baron.
Mhm.
Turns
You
out
know-
crabs were the enemy the entire time.
I
But I'm not
told
trying to
you
tell
guys,
people.
Crowder's Bay, man.
Yeah, no, but like maybe you could explain. So what like were like Lam's options for Rio? Because I guess I didn't
That was
get
them.
the.
That was
yeah.
it. You could
Well,
go
like-
you could go back and you could be with your mom. You could see her again. Like, I mean, a lot of developments happened since you last saw her, and I know that wasn't necessarily like Lam's jam. Like, family isn't his jam, but I mean, you've also been through a lot, and you've learned a lot about like your father and all these other things. You never had a chance to discuss that, so I didn't know if that would be enticing. I mean, if from our conversation you talked about there was like unfinished business with family, and so I wanted to offer you up kind of like 2 family options. It's basically and then 3, like basically Chronomancy came on the board because I realized offering Lam options of family, just like offering options of family, you guys didn't get a lot of agency in the kind of pairing that I thought up and struck my fancy so much that I didn't consult you about. And so I really wanted both of you to have the option of the family you knew, the family who knew about you but you didn't know about, and then like the family that you chose. And ironically, both of you chose, the boys, and so I thought that was really kind of awesome. But,
Because if there wasn't like a chronomancy option, I would have been like, can Lam just turn around and run the other direction into the great unknown and see what the hell happens?
that's amazing. Yeah.
That would have been my
I never
choice.
thought of what that would be, but that's great. Rock, how about you?
For Rock, it was choice between going home to mom or the boys.
Or a barbecue feast. Because I did want to give you just a gluttonous option, just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was Going Home or Chronomancy. Full disclosure, Rock thought Kletos would be there. And when he saw it with Blom and Horatio, there was a bit of regret.
I made a mistake.
A terrible mistake. Is there a reason then why you chose to kind of keep going rather than seeing one of those?
Part of the reason of going with Chronomancy is he was like, you know what? Kletos will be there. I can trust that at some point, if we go back in time and play things differently, Kletos manages stuff. He can get me home to Mom. That's still not off the table.
He's a cartographer.
Yeah. And then the option that I wanted but didn't have, and it literally came to me tonight as we were playing, and I was like, oh, shoot, we don't have like a choose your own. And ultimately, the decision to go with the Boyz was also based on like Rock has a pretty strong sense of duty and service. He might not be good at either of those things, but he feels them very strongly. He felt very compelled to break out the disguise kit once again. And take over for Baron von Hergen-Bergenstein, recognizing that there's an entire populace devoid of leadership now, and that he kind of owed it, that sense of duty of like, he kind of ended up where he ended up because we failed to protect his daughter when given the choice, or when given the chance. So since I can't go back in time, I can go take his place in the present. And for Chronomancy, it never dawned on him that we could go back. And so when Horatio was like, oh, we can go, because to Rock, it's like we would go back to a time and place that we were at. And when I joined the party, it was already too late to rescue her.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of the decision. But if it came down to Mom or the Boyz, it was kind of like sense of duty. There are still things we need to do, and Kletos will get me home someday. He'll get me back to Mom.
Probably still can. It's been 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, any other kind of thoughts on the choices or anything else? Was anybody surprised by somebody else's choice?
I was surprised that many people chose to go back in time.
Yeah.
I honestly thought I might have been the only one to do the whole back in time thing because it seemed like everyone's got their things. So outside of like the cat, Alam was the only one with like big regrets that he wished he could go back and change type deal. So it's just like everyone else is like, oh, I'll go home with Mom. I'll go off on a new adventure. I'll go back to my friends. Us two over here are the only ones with like major life screw ups and regrets that we needed to change that was still weighing on us. We never grew past them like everyone else has, you know? So it was just like
it's a pretty
Rock
good
doesn't know enough about history, so he's doomed to repeat it.
It's fair. Yeah. The reason I asked, Kletos would have gone back, and I asked the reason Beard mentioned like Neb was defeated was because Kletos would have gone back to defeat Neb in the heart if they hadn't, but
yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, and in my mind, you basically defeated him, and like in that, as well as like Digger choosing to kind of step in as that kind of champion avatar. That was this kind of once the heart beat, there was a kind of energy in that place that was like discordant with their vampirism. You know, like you may not have needed to stake them, but that kind of energy that essentially created that kind of white, kind of like colorless plane for you guys is essentially, kind of finished off the vampires, kind of burnt them out of the heart. But yeah, no, it was very surprising, I think, for me. But always welcome surprises with you guys.
I am just glad that it was obvious what I was going to do, even after blasting all the shadow creeps.
Yeah.
We knew where I was going. We knew that was there was no doubts about what Digger wanted to go back to, and the ideal life, I think, for Digger post becoming the Avatar of the Woods.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that I now have that title, assumedly, that's now a thing that I've got going for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Marketing.
I gotta add that to the list of I'll put that right after Iron Man. Yeah.
You got the
After Iron Man, before Honey Mustard.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's priorities.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for me, I was really interested to see if anybody would step into that. And once I saw you kind of edging that way, I was like, okay, because I'd gone back. I don't know how many episodes I got into re-listening to everything and taking notes before the fall semester just totally overwhelmed me. But I had listened and listened to the Zero sessions and things like that. And just hearing you talk about kind of your experience before, Digger got addicted and owed people money and all these things and had to kind of work it off. There was this real fondness talking about just spending time, and there was also something great about you never having played D&D before, just saying yeah, Digger was just wandering out yonder. There was no place attached to it. It was just this kind of nebulous place. And so for me, it was this great story analog to be able to kind of send you to this place that's supposed to be really dark. But for you having shed that darkness, the only thing in that place that was actually dark were these kind of shadow creatures. But your bond with Captain Crunch is this kind of point of light that just kind of made that appear to you like this very kind of idyllic place.
Oh,
even
yeah.
though it was really, probably terrible in reality. If anybody else had gone there,
They're oh,
it would
Jesus.
have been it would have been a hellscape.
Honestly, Digger being the one chosen, if we got to the point that nobody had stepped up, I was actually about to just run up and I don't know what's happening. If it needs to happen, just use me. And if we have to change it right last minute, we'll do that. But place it on me. Because I don't want to know what would have happened, like you said, with the moth turning into Mothra and coming back. Would I have come back at Mirror Lam like we had before?
I
which
don't know,
is a
but
dangerous
I definitely had shadow guys written down, all of my notes. I had a list of all of the people, the kind of main characters. And everything else that was going on, and then I literally have Baron and Shadow Boys written down. I also have all of the big hitters like Gary Shambling and Yakety Snacks, Trunks, Presto, Trevor, Jalar, Skittles, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Spoons.
But the only one that could probably come back from that and be mostly unscathed that would have been Digger.
Yeah.
Each of us would have come back changed horribly. I think he would have probably come back if he survived, maybe a warlord or a supervillain of some sort.
It's not too late.
No. That is a horrible idea because going back and because I actually re-listened to the Mirror World stuff with the opposite versions of ourselves, and I'm just and the way you were running with I'm oh wow, I don't play him like that, but if he would have gotten his hands on us, That would have been.
I was tempted to have like a greatest hits of your bad guys come through the heart as well, but I was like, once I really thought about like who would be the person that you were like, this is the biggest asshole. I was like, Nebraska.
Well, I mean, it could work. You still send Nebraska through, and the Void just happens to power him up a little bit as revenge, and then boss rush.
I mean, you don't know that he wasn't. I mean, how did he become?
I don't.
That's
a fair point. That's a fair point. I do not know that, but
yeah,
I'm a big fan of video game logic in anything. So I would have been a fan of it. Just like, hey guys, by the way, boss rush. Here's everybody you've ever fought before again.
Other thoughts, questions?
Would have been fun to fight Shadow Lam because we Home Aloned him the first time.
Oh, yeah.
That would probably be a good thing.
That's amazing. Oh man.
That's right. He did get home alone.
Had all those iron ingots for a reason. Granted, they were for forging reasons, but the hell with it, with booby trap it.
Yeah, I don't know. Any other questions? Anything that you want me to spill the beans on? Any questions that have lingered for 140 plus episodes?
Did we finally win D&D?
I mean, it seems like only Kledos did. Kledos won. Only one person can win. I mean, you guys are still playing, and Digger is too. So yes, you won D&D.
Yeah, my one shot will be New Game Plus.
Yeah, he just joins us on the very first adventure. It's just like, oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't get to go on the first one, so.
Yeah, he did. Right when the first airship goes by, he just grabs Theodorus, moves him to the side.
You're all level 3 or whatever, and I'm like level 20 with all my weapons.
Battle scar, gold. It's just like you're just looking way too out of place in the cutscenes.
You're the guy that's like help just murking every quest and every challenge. And like,
yeah, just in the background,
so
Kledos jumps like 30 feet in the air, grabs the cow, sets it down gently.
Nah, you're gonna deflect that cow.
I can't. I guess I could deflect the cow. Yeah.
It's a missile.
I would probably hurt the cow though.
I mean, you catch it, then you have the option to throw it.
Technically, I could have catch it and throw it back onto the airship.
It might have been.
It never fell. We never meet the
you never knew you never knew about the cow.
Oh my god.
Like changing the course of Tasty Boys history.
Timeline. That's a timeline.
It's time for alternate futures.
the Hank hole never happens.
Whoa.
We never.
It's just this really weird, sad thing where like, do you guys hear something? And it's just like Horatio slowly suffocating as he can't get it out.
No, we never left. We
stuck in this worm.
Never left Atlanta. We probably would have stayed in Atlanta for the longest time. Oh my god.
Beautiful.
Oh, Atlanta.
Oh, the incomplete world we created.
The best part was building it all. And then
not seeing
visiting
what?
1, 2 places?
3 or 4, pretty much.
I mean, Old Chicago.
Yep.
Flairtown, Hublanta, Forest Lake Town. I mean, you guys ended up, kind of traveling. I think a lot of it changed when we decided to like go to New Kings Bay, because we basically like traveled beyond the kind of area that we'd started in.
Mm-hmm.
But
but we never really gone like into like any of those like major cities and things like that for the most part.
We went to Bergenstein.
Yeah, we were in, yeah.
What are you talking about? We didn't go anywhere.
Also, Lum, we did have the option to go to Forest Lake Town or New Kings Bay, and it was decided. And you voted to go to New Kings Bay and not go to Forest Lake Town. So
yes, I knew that because Lam would be like, "Oh, we go there, that might be some issues."
Yeah.
Do you remember when Lom let Sir Jordan die and then took his sword?
Damn. Damn.
No, he had a glaive. I left his glaive with him. The sword came from somewhere else, which I lost.
Yeah.
He's like, actually, no, I lost his sacred sword somewhere. I don't really remember, but I gave him his shitty glaive back.
No, he was a dragon.
Once he was dead.
Once I realized he died, and I can't fuck with dead people. Because that's
it was.
It's
I
the
remember this
delivery
because-
for me. It's the
I remember this because this was actually a pivotal moment in the story for Lam. It's because it was a note left to him from Sir Jordan, obviously, and I was with Horatio. And I had a Dragon Slayer.
That's why it's all like misconstrued, is because the information never actually got relayed to anybody.
God
'cause
damn
we
it,
were with
Horatio.
Yeah,
God.
well, I mean,
Sir Jordan could have lived if only Horatio would give the goddamn notes.
No,
How
Yeah.
dare you?
Yeah, no, but I think I asked this on the finisher after that. If because we snuck past so many of the monsters so quickly, he was actually fighting those things we snuck past.
Yeah.
And we were just too good at sneaking, and he got murked
If
for
you'd
it.
never
so.
been a dwarf of the Swifty variety, Sir Jordan would be alive. So
Yeah,
really, this is
maybe.
on you and Nate.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Lom.
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Nate's
we
like
did
the
get to read
worst
both those
letter
letters,
carrier
so
ever.
I
he
mean,
did read me both those letters. So
to be fair, I mean, Digger basically tried to kill everybody, both in the party and out of the party. So
I don't think I ever actually had made a real attempt at Rock's life.
oh yeah, you did on the beach.
Yeah,
you
but
did.
that was
I was like, dude, you tried hardest to kill him.
Did you?
Maybe
No,
harder
I
than
was-
everybody else.
I was trying to. I can't remember what the motivation was behind that. Maybe
What beach was this? I truly don't remember.
I
right?
remember this.
by Nebraska's dad's bar.
Yep.
Because Digger was in like full void mode, and he was like,
Because-
I can just kill him.
Yeah, to start killing people.
Because the void was just like, you need to get rid of these losers.
Yep.
Like you're either gonna roll with me or you ain't gonna roll.
And I was like, I'll kill everybody in my party
You're
except
like, I don't know
Cletos.
this dude.
And then he's like, well, too bad, you got to kill Cletos. And I was like, oh.
Ooh,
Well, good luck,
no,
motherfucker.
you do. I'm definitely
I was
going
like-
to try, and if it happens, it happens. But
Yeah, I
I'd
was
really
like,
prefer it didn't.
I was like, dude, he can deflect all of my missiles, man. What do you expect me to do?
yeah, no, I just imagine the thought process being like you have to kill everyone in your party, and it's just like Horatio, that's gonna suck. I kind of like him. That's fine. Rock, no real feelings against Mom. I've been gunning for his ass since day one. We're gonna do this, and then Cletus is like, oh no.
If I was so close.
I can't believe you never got long. I was
so
like,
close.
Oh, we were so like I was just waiting for the moment that Lom catch them trying to kill him because it would have been odd.
well,
It
but
would've
it
been like-
was inches away from me.
Oh, I remember.
From me ending Lom at the one time, and I don't remember why it didn't happen, but we were seconds away.
I think it was bad rolls on your end.
Dude,
I
was-
think I was
that
doing
sounds
death. I was doing death saving throws, and
Yeah.
you were
I
having
was
just
pissed.
worst luck. I think you
I was
threw
trying to
dice or
end it.
something.
Yeah, I was trying
Yeah.
to end him.
And I'm over here laughing my ass off at this because you were throwing your dice, going like, "Damn it!"
It started with the elemental planet air, and then it was the gun. Like when Hank got the gun, and then I was wrecking Lom one-on-one, and then something
that was-
fucked it.
no,
that
that
was
was a different
Manfred.
character who
That
you
was
did kill.
Manfred. Well, you almost killed you.
And then I think that
I
pissed
mean-
off Lom.
No, because Lom was just like, "Hey, I heard you kick the shit out of Manfred," because Manfred was the character that nobody liked on the Dragonfly, so he's just
It
like, "Cool
pissed
for you."
somebody off because I was like,
I mean, this is the story of Tasty Boys, Digger. I mean,
It ticked
I
off
know I
somebody.
pissed somebody
I
off.
know I
You
pissed somebody off.
everybody off.
I think like
You
I think
kicked off his paladin order, but everyone else on the Dragonfly was just like, "No, that's cool. We've all kicked the crap out of him before, so you're fine."
I think the biggest bummer about all of that is that like we never got to see any of it play out. Like there was never any there's never any like catharsis, there was never any like reckoning. It just sort of like it was like Digger killing the party is running in the background. Like it was like, and so like it was always really frustrating that it was so like vague and clandestine in a way that that made sense story wise, but was really frustrating on a like meta level, because it was like, what the fuck is happening? This is really annoying. Like I don't know. And then like it never played out. I mean, even if none of the boys really recognized it overtly, like not getting to in any way see those like conversations with the void or like whatever, like even in a, you know, sort of like, oh, you failed, you know, or whatever sense, you know, to not unduly surprise or like, that was always the really frustrating part of it for me, was like, it's like there's no way to interact with this.
You're
So
like,
it's just,
we know it's going on.
it's this very annoying thing that is happening in the like to us that we can't do anything about or interact with in any way, but it's also like known. It's like the elephant in the room.
Right.
And
It's like
and it-
Digger's
and it-
trying to kill us, but
and
we
the way
can't
it's-
acknowledge it.
Right, and the way it's being played out does not allow for any interaction with it whatsoever. Was like super annoying, because it was just like, I think those would have been really interesting character moments for everybody, you know. And I think it's a hard thing, I guess, in this is a hard thing in a game when you have like an antagonistic character, because like one of the certainly potential like outcomes or answers is like goodbye, you know.
Yeah.
And that makes it, you know, that's a kind of heavy weird thing on its own. But you know, it's like that was always the thing that was like, it was like, okay, there's like all this cool stuff that could be happening, or like there's at least, you know, like there's a lot of big story stuff happening that like one person, I guess, is seeing and like no one else is seeing it. So it was super frustrating because and I think in particular it was frustrating because it's antagonistic in nature. And so there's this antagonism that is continually happening that, like, again, you can't sort of interact with in any way, much less like a satisfactory way. And that was like, and I don't know that that falls on an individual or anything like that, as much as it's like from a, like, you know, I don't know, lessons learned or whatever, like just that like absence of agency toward a like actively antagonistic force that could kill you. Like it feels, it's frustrating to not have those moments, but it's also frustrating as a player, I think, to know that, like, okay, well, my character could just die and I'm fucked, and shrug, I guess, you know, is like, that's not a super fun place.
I think that one of the things that never happened that I actually thought was going to happen is that there was never kind of like the intervention that I assumed would happen. There was these kind of moments of kind of interaction and intervention, but I don't think Oren ever kind of came out with it. And I think that the kind of nature of the party is that Lam and Digger have this antagonistic relationship, kind of not one-sided, but not kind of wholly reciprocal relationship. Horatio is active, but not the kind of present voice that Theodorus was. And then, you know, Rock really wasn't there at that time, but Rock is also kind of like, you know, learning to kind of harness his own feelings about things. And so I think it's a learning experience for all of us, both as players and as a DM, of kind of like how something like that might work. And if it is antagonistic, like how, when we don't necessarily have a kind of confrontational party, that we like confront things like that in character in a way that like moves it beyond kind of where it is. And I think that was really a hard thing for me to try to kind of push across the table, in that I think that Digger didn't maybe make some of the things known that I might have thought that he would make known, or that there wouldn't be this kind of like cutoff point where the boys were just like, all right, fucko, like here's the deal.
Well,
Like you've been holding out
Yeah.
on us. Like we need to have this conversation. It's gonna like end here, or like, or we can't, or like we can't be the boys.
Yeah.
It's that combination of like when Digger did things, it wasn't like he never took a super blatant stab at somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It was always pretty subtle. And you combine that with some really terrible dice rolling on all of our parts, where it was like, did I just notice that he tried to shoot me with a spell? Roll the dice? No, I did not.
Yeah.
And I think that, when you're failing rolls, which is part of the game, like, unless it had been something super blatant that you wouldn't have to roll to know.
Yeah, it always was that with him, like with everybody else, but with like, for whatever reason, there was more blatant things when he came to him trying to flom and things like that. But I think
But it was like it was just like,
that's
he's
just
trying
what they do.
Yeah, he's just trying to kill him.
It's just, but also like,
What they
Lom's
do.
pretty hardy, so he's not holding back, and everyone didn't think like they did. He wasn't trying to kill him, but like, I just want to know what your guys' plan was for like, if Oren and I were to actually have gone to blows, like what would have been your guys' game plan? Like,
Cletus would have stopped you.
Like, we're two fairly powerful individuals that are on. It's just crazy.
Cletus would have made you stop. Cletus would have stunning strike Digger one time. Con save. Nope.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna beat any con. My con is shit.
And he probably would have knocked you around too to see if he could stun you. But yeah, it would have been like over instantaneously if Cletus was around. It wouldn't have come at like and able to, like, when it's mid battle thing and there isn't necessarily that sight line or that ability to interact. There's little that could happen. But if it like came to blows at any point, no, it's not happening. At least, yeah, like I said, if Cletus was there, I don't know about anybody else.
I just had a 4-panel overlay ready for when you guys killed each other. So just be me and Nate and
Wait,
Joel.
you just expected us to just take each other out or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that?
just,
Like Blaze
you
of
know.
Glory?
And
Murder
it's
Bowl.
like Joel said too, like as it started happening, like with the void and stuff, it became more and more of like, I know I can't be blatant about this, and deception and is the main thing I'm good at. And literally the only role that worked for me every time, like I think I beat Horatio by 1 on like 2 separate occasions.
You did. I think even with I think we both
Yeah.
rolled natural 20s.
Yeah, and I
me.
beat you by 1. Yeah, like it was almost too good to be true the way the rolls were going, because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna, like, even with 3 lucks and all this stuff, like there's no way I'll be able to keep this up forever. And then, like, when you finally gave me the ultimatum of, like, hey, you actually have to fucking end one of these guys or you lose all your power. And my decision was like, well, I don't really want to, like, blatantly end one of these guys. I mean, except Lom, but there was never a time where I would have done it, like, just right out in the open. So any chance in combat to counterspell something or to do something like that, knowing that, like, oh shit, if Cletus dies, we all probably die. Like, if Horatio or like if one of us goes down, we're not necessarily covered for the other, for like what we're up against. So knowing that, like, that could 100% be self-sabotage, and then trying to, like, as I was learning as a player of, like, well, I don't want to be that guy, and I want to make it make sense without being like, well, this is what my character would do, and trying to find that balance of, like, okay, this is the, like, clearly evil patron that I picked, but how am I not going to play Magnar, who's just going to kill anybody to kill anybody? And, like, but still have some semblance of humanity. And then once he gave me the ultimatum, I was like, okay, now once that's broken, that whole character is going to switch. And then especially once I shot the arrow at Lom and actually had to deal with the repercussions of my actions, I was like, oh shit. Because like that was one where I was like, fuck. I literally I was like, okay, I'm gonna take my shot at this. And I was like, oh, they literally said don't do anything, and I just missed it. And I was like, fuck, I missed it. And it's like, well, here's the repercussions of my actions. I was fully expecting like Digger gets locked up and Digger's locked away forever.
So all that time and all you needed was a timeout.
Yeah, literally.
We didn't need to put him in timeout and have like a party upstairs.
Thurston should have just like, put a strike on your record and suspended you without pay for a week.
Well, because
locked him in his room.
Did anybody think about retiring, like quitting as interdimensional?
Digger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wondered if somebody would just be like, nope, this is no longer for me.
Digger, like after the woods, if it would have gone further past the woods, I think Digger would have stayed in the woods.
That's interesting. I'm super interested by like what would you guys have done if we like could have gone back to the prime material plane? Would you have stayed? Would you have gone? I mean,
Cletus would have served out his contract as obligated, but he would have been done after that. Like I think, and not like out of like he loves the boys, and he really liked his time with Tasty Boys Interdimensional, and but it's also like not his path, Like he's like, okay, I was a restaurateur for a while. That was not how I thought being a restaurateur would go. I'm gonna do my own thing, Like I think for me, Cletos's path was like he started out alone, and he was cool with being alone. He could have been, his background is like hermit. Like he could have just been like alone, but he met the boys, and he learned that like being free doesn't necessarily mean being alone. And so he like, I think after all this, if they had gotten back to the prime material plane, or when he gets back to the prime material plane, that it would have just been like, hey, thanks, this was really cool. I'm gonna go do my own thing now, and I know how to do that both alone and with other people. So I'm gonna learn that balancing act.
Yeah.
I think Cletos never shows up. Like if Cletos were never to have become a character, Digger would have been a completely different character.
Oh, I absolutely
agree.
What do you think he would have been like?
Oh, dude, I would have gone full like Magnar evil and legit. Like I would have just.
I don't think we would have made it past episode 50 if Ryan didn't join the party. To be honest with you.
I think I would have just leaned full into the void and like murk Lom at some point with some crazy void spell that he wasn't ready for, and shit would have just exploded, and then I would have just probably gotten away, and that would have probably been the end of it.
Yeah, how long did Domains of Dread last? 14 episodes?
It was
That's
20
probably
episodes.
how far we would have gotten. Yeah.
It was 20 episodes.
20 episodes. So,
I'm sorry, 8. Yeah, 20, I think.
I thought
it was 20 or 18. I can't remember.
That was in the high
off
teens.
the top of my head, but it was high teens.
Yeah.
No,
we would have lasted not even a year, I don't think, if Ryan wouldn't have joined the party. Joel would have never played with us.
So many crimes would have gone unsolved.
Yeah. A lot more B&Es.
So many cases, so many unsolved cases. So many mysteries unsolved out there in the world.
And like just a serial B&Er somewhere.
Yeah.
Just never taking anything of real value.
And like all they do is they just step inside, so it's technically the E is also there, and then they leave. They're like, it's the act for me.
Look, guys, I just like to say I did the B and E. I don't want anything. Yeah. It's
like, I love the idea of Digger like taking like an hour to break a door down. Like it would probably, and then he like just opens it, and he's like, "Oh, nice," and then he just closes the door back, and, like leaves.
Right, keeps his own like criminal record.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
hell yeah,
leaves
look at
a mysterious paw print
Yeah,
on the door.
it's like flour, just like ooh.
Yeah.
No, he leaves a small coin. It's just a tip.
Yeah, but you got me thinking like what Lon would have done gone back to the prime material plane, because he probably would have done the same as Cletos, finished out his contract, but then because he would probably have been a changed person at that point. Probably would have tried to rile up a small army and clear out the Onion Caves and take back his ancestral home.
I thought you were going to go back to the elements of planet air and take out those guards that tried to kill you.
Oh no, I'm a wanted man. I ain't going to. Hey,
Yeah, I thought you'd rile up an army and take over the skies.
No, I'm not stupid. I don't even go back to my own hometown because I'm pretty much wanted there too. It's like, no, I'm not stupid. I ain't
not
going
going
back
back
there. You want go to jail cell? Are you nuts?
I do. I love the idea of like Lom being like, oh, like I'm a Twilight Forge and a McHillface, and like I'm gonna go and like bring all these dwarves back and take over the Onion Caves. I think that's really interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah, because it was just one of those things that's just like, because it was going back there and doing the stuff, because in the backstory could have made like Lom is technically at this point in the story only 26 years old as a dwarf, so he's relatively young.
Like a
He
baby.
remembers, yeah, pretty much, and he remembered going to the Onion Caves when he was younger, visiting other family members, and seeing that it's like been taken over in such a short amount of time. I mean, in like the last 5 to 10 years, they got ran out, and it's just like, okay, let's just go in, kick out all the orcs, and take back what's ours.
Yeah.
So you're gonna murder Kevin and his family?
Yep.
Dude, I was wanting to kill Kevin when we got there the entire time and put his head on a spike just at the message and say, and just kind of leave like the Twilight Forge symbol right next to his head.
Did you want to kill Kevin because he's in your cave, or did you want to kill Kevin because Shadow Lom got home alone?
This was before that. No, because he was in the cave. I wanted to like leave like a solid message, being like, "Hi, we'll be back. I'll be back."
There's so many bees in there.
Oh my God, bees!
Jeez.
That was when I learned I could punch swarms of bees.
That was funny.
If you guys, I mean, we don't have to keep this going forever, but if you guys could go back and change one thing that you or your character did over the course of your time with any of the characters you played, what would it be?
Oh man. What would it be?
This is tough. I've wondered this periodically, and usually the answer I come back to is I don't think I would have changed it, because changing it would alter the things that came out of it. But I've considered a number of times of when Rock switched to monk and started learning to be a monk. You gave the option to kind of rework levels. And so that question of like, how different is it had I taken 6-month monk levels?
Sure.
Instead of 2, because I never got past 2 monk levels.
Yeah.
Or even like had stayed as barbarian and not made the switch to monk. But I do end up coming back to like the character development moments and the like goofy yet somewhat touching conversations with Cletos as we try to figure things out. Sparring with Digger. Like a lot of these things don't happen if it didn't go the way it went,
Sure.
But it is still a thing that I go back to, and I'm like, should I have done that differently? Should have I like given up more barbarian levels? I don't know.
Yeah. How about the rest of you boys? Any moment that you'd change or thing that you would play differently or?
I'm a big advocate in like my own life of you like you're stuck with the decisions you make, and every decision you've made happens for a reason. Like if you don't make that decision, then all the great things that you do have don't happen, whether that decision was good or bad. But I think if I had to go back, it would have been probably something would have changed when Nate and I were at dinner with the Void, and I think it would have been more dramatic one way or another. Or I would have, and this was seriously considered, of like just going full like catatonic in a like lost like there's no helping him, he's gone way of the Mad Mage when I was into that. And like that was seriously considered of like locking myself in and then never like not being able to be gotten out of like this has consumed my mind and what I'm going for. And like there was a lot of times where I was like, I think I could like and he's gone.
Yeah. Other decisions?
So not necessarily fixing something that I did, but maybe something that I didn't do in the forest when we were kind of cutting our hands and saying, "Oh, I did this or I did that." I technically still have a level of Warlock, so the Void still has its grasp on me if anything in the future happens there. But I'm wondering if I could have given that up and then just been level 13 Bard and not 14 with the one level of Warlock.
Ooh,
Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think about that until after that last session. I was like, shit.
could have given something up.
Yeah.
The curse of multi-classing.
Yeah.
Any
It's
other
just too good.
any other things that you might have done differently or outstanding questions, mysteries that were never solved that you're dying to know?
I think I'm very. Kledos is very what Oren described. Kledos is, and like I mentioned earlier, he's very like I did this, and like I think there's value in that. I think there's, I think that's intrinsic to how he is. So I don't think there's anything he would have done differently as a character. But I think being like my fifth or sixth episode, I probably wouldn't have gone so hard on Lus and Captain Nube. I was just like, this seems like it would be cool, and I was like, wow, I was really like does not fit with the tone of like. I mean, it kind of like Kledos had a journey, but I was like, that was he went real hard.
Yeah, he went ham.
And I was like, I didn't expect it to work either. I think was the other thing. So
That's great.
yeah. Might have gone a little less hard.
What if I had never tricked Lus into tricking him into believing that I saved his life?
I cannot
instead of
believe
trying to kill him.
I still can't believe that worked.
And then it became
I was
it became
so
forever
certain.
like, oh my God, you saved my life. We are family forever. Like anything you need, let me know.
I was
like-
so certain he was not going to catch you, and then that big old dragonborn was gonna cleave you in two. I was so certain that it was gonna happen, and you bullshitted your way through that like
That
a.
was
It's
that
you
was a
so
string
No,
of
no.
very untimely rolls for me.
Honestly, you BS your way through that like you BS some old timey promoter to give you more money.
brother.
Yeah, I know, I do it too.
Brother.
I worked my way with deception through 140 episodes. Like
Not wrong.
it was the only stat I had to start with. It carried me the rest of the way.
It carries
That
me.
charismatic cat.
It's a true story.
I'm curious, and I don't want to sully anyone's sessions or whatever. So like whatever, if you feel like answering, but I'm curious if everyone thinks their character would continue to like level 20, on their own or however they end up, from this point. Do you see them continuing on? Do you feel like they retire or hit a point, or do you like that? But like maybe not too specific if it's going to mess up sessions or whatever, but like I'm just curious personally.
I mean, well, for me, it would kind of be a continuation of what I kind of said a little bit earlier, except the can got kicked down the road. Maybe I'll be able to use some of with being a Tasty Boy contract, maybe being able to ask a favor for supplies and things like that. Being like, hey, I need to take over my old ancestral home, and we can put Tasty Boys in there in the onion caves and things like that, 'cause it's a big citadel type thing, and try to take it back that way. You know what I mean? But that still be a goal. That still would be a goal for Lam. Either with the Tasty Boys using supplies or after that. So
Cool. Interesting.
Digger would, 1,000%.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, and Horatio for sure
It
keeps
would be
going after.
so gratifying to kill Digger at level 19.
No, but see that's when I'd feel like I felt unbeatable at level 3. I would feel unbeatable at definitely unbeatable at level 19. I'm like,
I know, that's why, dude. That's why it would be
nobody
so
can touch
sweet.
me.
Yeah,
This 10 Constitution that didn't help my hit points the whole time. Hell yeah, I got this.
that's beautiful.
Shot with 1 power word kill. Instantly dead.
Beautiful.
If only I had 101 hit.
Ah!
yeah. At the end of it all, I ended the entire game in the double digits, 78 HP.
I love it. Does anybody else? Does anybody else have questions for each other? I'm super interested by that question. Like, what would your kind of like end game, like where would your character be, or what would they have accomplished by level 20? I think that's such a cool question to ask. Where anybody?
It was a cool question.
Yeah.
Goddamn right.
Rock would have kept going for 20 if for no other. Like, the path that we set in the game was this kind of path to control his anger.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sure.
yeah, so I think he would have kept pursuing that and trying to mastery.
That makes sense. Kletos would. Just however that manifests, I'm not sure, but he would get there.
Yeah.
Just for his own pursuits into his own path, like yeah, he would absolutely get there.
I guess, is there any other class that you would have seen your character be like at its core? Because like a lot of us ended up multi-classing, but like had you had the opportunity to start over and pick your class at the beginning, like could you have seen playing your character another way?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, there. I actually had something. Beard shot it down because it was a bit too out of reach. But I'm like, that's fair because it didn't work too well. I just thought it would have been funny. I was going to Lam would have still been a barbarian, but when I was thinking about multi-classing around level 10, when I went thief, I was actually trying to convince Beard because I still had all those lightning bottles to let me multi-class into Storm Sorcerer.
Yeah.
Just to be like, hey, he was trying something and he just got zapped and just there's a hole in the wall somewhere, just a giant explosion, the thunder strikes everywhere, and just Lam just accidentally gave himself magical powers and he really can't control it. And I was just gonna let Beard just let me just I will roll anything he needs me to roll and just let it just be as wild lightning magic as he would want. But I think it was a bit too much.
Lam wanted to eat all those lightning bottles, didn't he?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was experimenting with them. It was going to be one of those things like I don't know how it would happen. Would it be because he was trying to mix something with it? Is it because he ate it?
It's the
I don't know.
equivalent of the 9-volt battery.
Yeah.
I like the idea that he just like sat on a bunch by accident. Like his bag was on the chair and he didn't notice it, and he was like,
Sat down and
that would have been like a very long way to be.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
yeah, and just comes downstairs like it's like guys points a finger and that lightning bolt just shoots out and just destroys like the wall.
Ow.
Like,
Sorry.
Well, hey,
I
that
have an
lamp's
issue.
on now. I think you just invented electricity.
I think that would have been a great like comedic aspect to Lam, but I don't think we would have gotten the begrudging hero type or anti-hero type. I don't know how you describe him because he was just like, I'm not the best fighter, but I know how to break into entering and I know how to steal. So I'll just go back to doing that.
I think, and I mean this in the most complimentary way possible. Lam is Lam.
Yeah.
Like Lam is like that's the way to describe. Lam is Lam. Like hero into hero, whatever. He's Lam.
Lam.
Lam is like a verb by now.
Yeah.
You know, like and and
Bombed it.
yeah.
Which is also synonymous with arson.
Oh.
Yeah, there's usually yeah.
Yeah,
He
no,
lobbed
Lon
that
just would have been a
thing.
wizard that just spammed fireball. That's all he would have been, yeah.
It's a good spell.
Yeah.
Anybody else see themselves or their characters as a different character altogether beyond the ones that you multi-classed into?
I think if it had started, if Rock had started at level 1, there would be a really good chance that he would have been barbarian fighter multi-class.
Yeah.
If for no other reason that he would end up with like what 4 extra attack.
Yeah.
4 or 5 with action.
The
surge.
action surge of, yeah.
So 8 attacks around.
Because I think fighters get 3 extra attacks total as they level up.
Yeah.
Barbarian gets like 1 or 2.
2. They get 2, and it's just
So by the time he got
boy.
to, he picked up that monk level, it would have been like different attacks per turn, plus rage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, your attack round would have gone at least 10 minutes of just like, okay, I do this, I do this, I do this.
it's like okay, it's Joel's turn. Cool, I'm gonna get up and go grab
Yeah.
a drink.
Right.
He's
I'm
gonna kill
use the
everybody
bathroom.
quick.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Oh, is he still going? Okay, cool. Didn't miss anything. All right.
I don't know that those extra attacks
That's
stack
true.
necessarily.
Doesn't stack.
They don't stack.
You know? Okay.
Ah,
You
that
would
was-
still have your action surge though.
And your flurry of blows.
And it would still he'd still end up with one more extra attack because fighters get more extra attacks than
Yeah,
barbarians.
it would be your max. So like once you hit like so you wouldn't so it would be like you get extra attack at 5 as a barbarian, right? And then you would have to get enough fighter levels to get a 3rd attack.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get it at 5 fighter, you would get it at 8 fighter or 10 fighter or whatever it is.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Sort of.
Still would have been level 13.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, and then and then the monk thing, you would get the bonus attack, the bonus action attack, and you would get flurry blows.
So that's still 5 attacks around. So that would have been like nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, with action surge, it would be like 8.
10, 11, or something like that.
That's pretty. It's a lot of attacks.
And I probably would have given him dual wield.
Hell yeah.
If it had started as 1, looking back, combined with having played Fletcher Coney and witnessing how good dual wield can be, picturing that on Rock is appealing.
I have a new answer to like, would you change anything? I would have taken Polar Master right away instead
Yes.
of Luck.
Absolutely.
And I still
Absolutely.
wouldn't have changed my strength score or anything.
Mhm.
But I still,
You
I
would have been if you didn't have luck, you'd be fucking dead. You wouldn't have
You
made
really
it past
would.
episode 20 if you did not have luck. The amount of
No,
times
I-
that luck saved you from dying like with my knowledge, minimum 5.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But still, I would have been a polearm master with a fucking dope ass carbon fiber lance.
It would have been super
That
great.
you were not proficient with.
But I still would have done it. I would have been in combat every time, like in the fray, just so I could stay just 10 feet away. So if they moved at all, bam, bam, just ready to smack motherfuckers with the polearm master.
You're like, I'm going to strike with my forearm. Yes, I will take a -5 on this roll to get an extra 10 damage if I hit.
There's no way I'm rolling -7s.
All right, that's a -8.
Is that hit? No? Oh.
That was the one thing I never really liked about, like, I rarely use Great Weapon Master especially after a while, because it really just made me miss more often than not, which is why I had to do Reckless with it, because I had the -5 every time, and it was just like, oh crap, that's a big hit.
It's a crapshoot.
Oh yeah, no, but the +10 on top of my rage damage with it, it was just like, oh, I could do like 20 to 30 damage per hit per swing, and it's like, oof.
I think a lot too about like, what if I would have picked a different warlock path, like, because this was my first real character and the first time I'd ever played D&D other than like the little bit of Extra Life that I had played like directly after this.
Yeah.
And
like, what if Digger hadn't been an asshole from the jump?
Yeah, like had I picked a decent patron, like a normal run-of-the-mill warlock patron, like normal
Digger
people.
Doomtree, like a celestial warlock.
Yeah.
Hey,
Digger
Doomtree, good guy. Tell your friends.
Feywild patron, like boring Raven Queen, just like something. Because there was so many options, and like looking at like the different things that you could do that weren't the norm, that weren't like OP'd stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, there's so many really cool options. And the Void one was just like, ooh, I think that's the best character I could play.
How did you find that? Like being a new character, it's like you went with, it's like a homebrew thing. So
yeah.
I don't think I ever asked you, but I'm just curious how you found it.
It was, I think when I was just looking up like warlock patrons, it gave me a list, and like
a DM's Guild thing came up or something.
Yeah, it was something like that, and it was like, here's all these things, and there was like a lot of copies of different copies of shit, and it was like stuff that had 1 or 2 points that were different, but like this was one that like stood out, and it was like, well, this doesn't seem like it's an off the wall thing, and it seems legit, and then it worked out to be. But yeah, like looking it up, I was like, oh, there's other options, because when you look in the book, there's like what, 4 or 5 in the
base book.
In like the player's handbook of like warlock, you get like Raven
there aren't
Queen,
that many.
and so I was like, there's got to be more than this. And warlock was like, it was like starting the game on expert mode, because it was a class that, like, in all my crazy research of like, oh shit, I finally get to play D&D, let me look everything up, it was like, hey, what we don't recommend for starter players is playing a warlock. And I was like, ooh, you know what I'm gonna do? I would like to do that. And so,
I mean, you
look, if you want to learn how to keep track of spells real quick, just have 2 spell slots. Done.
Dude, and I didn't even do spells.
Action economy, motherfuckers.
You didn't do spells
like,
for the first 6 sessions.
Dude,
and that's like 12 episodes.
I didn't understand how like my spells worked even for like 40 episodes, it felt like. I was like, holy shit, this is how I actually do it? Oh!
I can totally relate to that, because like, especially pre D&D Beyond, where it's like, I put this together on paper myself.
I found my character sheet,
and I was like, okay, I think I got this. And then like, a couple episodes in, I put it on like D&D Beyond, and I was like, oh wow, I'm way better than I've been playing.
I think that's what it was when
I was like, I've been
D&D Beyond.
I have been calculating these very incorrectly.
Oh yeah, because I was like, I think this is how this works, and it was, I wasn't giving myself any pluses to anything. It's not working. I was just the D20 and hope it worked.
Yeah, there was like a whole math equation I was missing on. Like,
oh yeah,
I was like, whoops. Well, now I know.
D&D Beyond is a game changer for a lot of people, and it's fantastic, and I love
It's
the accessibility for it.
Yeah, I love it. It's super. It's so good, and it's nice because I tend to learn like by doing things, and so like I sort of I can sort of like hindsight my way into understanding how the game works by like, oh, okay, this is how this got here. I get it.
Yep. And you're like, oh, so I got this, and this is
okay.
and this is how this works. Instead of like, okay, I've got this quick description that I wrote down of this like feature that I have. Let me quick dig it up real fast,
Right.
which like is fun like initially and stuff. But once you have it out there, you're like, okay, this speeds a lot of shit up. Instead of like having to dig through the spell book or having to do this or do that. Yeah, it's a real game changer.
Yeah. Well, Cleto started as a fighter. When I was like initially drawing the character up before I knew virtually anything about D&D, he was a fighter. And then I read through, as he sort of came into a fuller picture, I read the monk entry. I was like, this is actually, I think, where he's going. So this makes sense. And he became a monk after that. I think that, especially considering kind of where he went, and I think even at the beginning, it would have been an option, particularly knowing that like religion does not have to be an aspect of a paladin character. He could have 1,000,000% been a paladin. He could have gone like Oath of Redemption, although I think he's more Oath of the Ancients, the sort of more like, Dionysus style paladin than your I will not punch anything, but also I will not punch anything would have been a very Kletos thing at the beginning. So he could have totally been a paladin. And actually, paladin would have been interesting because one of the like early things I had imagined about him having was this, because he was a pit fighter. He was a slave and a pit fighter, and I had that he had this weapon, like a great sword that was like made of swords of people that he had defeated.
Yes.
And then I was like, that is stupid. And I was like, I don't think I want this character to be like that, but that would have been a really dope paladin.
That would have been awesome.
To not fight with.
Right?
Just when I think you can't come up with anything more stupid, you go and do something like that and totally redeem yourself. Oh man. Anybody else have any things that have been hanging out there that they wanted to reveal about their characters or decisions they made, or
Horatio? Could Horatio been anything else? Cleric, maybe?
He is actually a couple gnomes in a trench coat.
Hell yeah.
I knew it.
Three
No,
gnomes in a trench coat.
I kept finding all these little trinkets in my pockets. I was like, where are these coming from? They smell like Horatio.
Why are there small cookies everywhere?
It's a Horatio.
trinkets smell like Horatio.
I think Horatio should have been like an artificer, and then you could just be like, you could like object interaction, like chuck an ingot to somebody and then be like, heat metal.
Oh, I have an artificial.
I make these little metal gadgets that crawl up people's pant legs, and then I cast heat metal.
Ooh, tiny spiders that can murder people. I'll have to remember that for my next character. But no, Horatio had to be a bard. That's how he started in the previous game, and yeah, he couldn't not be a bard.
It was beautiful.
I really want to play an artificer at some point. That's something that I really want to do, and I really thought about when I was doing I'm making my own gear, I'm making my own this. I was like, ooh, I could just start taking levels in artificer now that I kind of understand the game. And start to figure that out, because initially I was like, oh, there's no way I'll fucking understand this. I still feel that way about it, about there's no way I'll figure this out.
Here's the thing: you jump from This is what I love about you, Oren. You jump from like just regular old school wrestling to like some of the hardest wrestling there is to master skill wise, which is in deathmatch wrestling. So you decide like, cool, I'm gonna go jump into D&D and do something like
The hardest.
yeah, no, not even the hardest. You like, I'm gonna do something really hard, like Warlock, which is the wrestling here in this point, which is hard. And then you're like, cool, now I want to do Artificer and just jump to the deathmatch version of that. And just
I did so
like,
bad.
why?
Because I was like, oh, that would be really fun to like tinker with and figure out, and like seeing one played like in different games and seeing how that's done, you're like, oh, that could be really cool, but how would I make it me and not that? And then like learning how to put that all together. And I think for me as like a character and a player, it's hard because like I watch Critical Role all the time and like consuming as much D&D stuff as possible, like because it's so entertaining for me to consume and watch that it's hard to not take those tropes into your own character, because you're like, oh, this is really entertaining to watch, and you're like, oh, I could do that with my own character. It's like, no, like you're your own character. And
I
so
mean-
for me, it was hard to like, especially initially, I was like, ooh, how do I like not just be a copy of something else? Like, how do I steer that path of like, you're Digger, you just be Digger, not like, oh, that's kind of fun, let's do that.
I mean, it's the old adage in the business of what the gimmick. You stolen from me, you're stolen twice. Nothing is original anymore. It's like that's just how it goes. Hey, friggin' Uncle Bob Bob Evans was the one that said it to me, and it's just like, yeah, no, it makes complete sense because it came from somewhere a long time ago first, and those tropes have existed for forever. You just take it and put your small twist on it. Instead of going to the left or right, everyone goes a little bit farther to the left or right, and somewhere in between. Or it's like it's there, but it's just a stick right now, and he bent it. So it would still be there, but there's no right or wrong way to do this. Like tropes will be reused. If it's like that whole controversy with what was it, the Opal thing on the Exandria Unlimited. There was I use TikTok a lot, and there was a D&D TikToker that had a character called Opal, but the character concept was so broad that someone else on Exandria Unlimited had a very similar character.
And they're like, oh, it's my character.
And they try to, one, copyright the character concept, and two, sue Critical Role, which did not go in their favor at all in the court of public opinion. I don't know what happened in the actual courts itself, but in the court of public opinion, that person got blasted off the internet. So it's just like there's nothing original, and people just need to, get over it.
And
I think.
go.
No, you go.
I like in a super like sentimental way about this whole campaign. Like in the 3 years that we've played this game, like I have changed so much as a human being, and I think like it's changed a lot. Like my play directly, I think, was shown in that, like in the way that I approached the game, the way that I like made decisions as Digger, the way I like was able to kind of flesh that stuff out. And so like the last 3 years has been such a roller coaster of a ride with this and with like who I am as a person. And I think this game was everything that like I needed it a lot of times. And I think that there was a lot of times where like you go through stuff in life and like this is the escape. And like even with the constant bickering with Dan, or like not understanding shit or whatever it may be, like this was always the most therapeutic thing. And this was like the constant for 3 years, and like such a tumultuous world of up and down that we all went through. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity and for like this group of people and for all of you guys. And like it's making me like tear up because it was,
oh yeah, I agree.
Man, this was like a huge part of my life that I'm going to cherish for a long time.
You started as Tasty Boys, but you're leaving as Tasty Men.
How? Yeah. No, but like
Tasty
me,
Boys to
because
Men is totally the name of this episode.
Tasty Boys to Men. That's the name of this episode. There we go. No, but no,
I mean, look at what I look like. Look at what I looked like before. Okay, and now look at what I look like now.
The full title is Tasty Boys to Men, ABC, BBD. I don't know how to read.
I still never learned to read.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not how the alphabet goes?
Oh, shit.
But you kind of
Digger didn't teach me all.
piggyback off Oren, I kind of agree. And it honestly, interacting with you guys weekly and being as creative as I am, like back when we were first doing this and we were still learning our feats and things like that, and we were kind of doing our own gimmicks with it and things like that. Oren and I were, when we were at that one promotion, would be popping each other in the ring, just making comments. Like, you just come by just from the, like, that Saturday or something like that, from the session before, like 2 days before, just walk by and just say something trying to make me friggin' break. And it's just like, and honestly, between at least you and me, I think it honestly helped our own in-ring chemistry, because we got to start to pull and pick at each other's brain a lot more and be like, okay, like, we now kind of understand how each other kind of work a bit more. And so our communication got a lot better. Like, I have like a handful of people that I know I can communicate with just like hardly any issues, and you are one of them when it comes to that in the ring. So
it's this game has really, like, it creates a family that you don't like. Wrestling gives you a family that you don't necessarily want, but then you have, and then it's everything, and then like this just solidifies all that stuff, and like character growth and going through like a lot of stuff, because I think Beard did a great job of like challenging us with like actual, like, hey, here's something that's going to kind of hit hard. What would you do? Like, here's an actual like moral dilemma for you, or like, here's something that you all are facing that like you have to really think about your decisions. It's not just like, oh, I punch it. It's like, oh, fuck, like what would we do? Like what? And I think like being challenged like that and having those opportunities was awesome. And I think it bonds the people that you play with, because 3 years, a long time.
Yeah, and I was still newer to the whole community in like wrestling at the time, because I was only a year into my like a year and a half into my training at the academy, and then just maybe a little under a year on the road at that point. So it was like, I am completely different from when I started to now, and it's been a like the whole like family dynamic when it came to Lom, it's very similar to how I didn't realize it at the time when I just kind of just wrote something, to like, especially between both Lom and his dad. And it's like, oh, this is very much me and my own dad. Like, I didn't realize that until the whole thing, and the relationship got better when Lom and his dad were away. And over the last year, I have actually moved out of my parents' house finally, and in my own place, and my own relationship with my parents, actually kind of got how Lom and his dad are. I'm like, oh, cool. Thanks. This game just emotionally, scars me a little bit. Thanks for that.
In the best way.
I miss the old attic closet day where Lom would be. I know.
Oh, you mean your crappy internet?
Yeah.
Oh God!
Action rage.
Yeah, they're crappy Wi-Fi. I now pay for my own, and the reason why they had such crappy Wi-Fi over there is because they were using the old phone jack.
Hell yeah!
And it's just like they've been using that since forever, and because of the whole 3G going away, that's going away too. So they have to replace that in the house, and my dad's like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't understand it. I was like, you don't understand how to use a flip phone, old man. Like, God.
Flip phones are hard. That's like 2 steps.
Yeah, fuck.
He's like 68. I'm just done with him at this point.
He's over.
Yeah.
Put him in the ground.
Ah, come on, give him one more year.
Call it a day.
Call it a day.
That's
You're
what he
done
does,
here.
he just
You're
does-
done
I don't
here.
know.
You stopped. Just stay where you are. Reader's Digest.
He just calls me, but like my computer's not working. Did you turn on the monitor?
Ah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
It's cute.
any final thoughts as we go along? Maybe we can go around and do a final thought and tell the folks where they can find you. One last.
I think before we do final thoughts,
Yeah.
I think in that we've become this family over the time. It's been interesting to see how we've all evolved with or without wrestling, from where we were, but I think it would be a nice thing for all of us to say a nice thing about everybody else, like their character, so it doesn't have to be weird.
What do you want me to do?
Wait, you want me to
No, it has to be weird
Say,
for you.
you can say. What do you want? I mean, we'll say something nice about you as a DM.
No, just,
You can say something nice about us as characters too.
I will. I'll say something
Okay.
nice about you as characters.
You're not included.
But I'm gonna go last because
Sure, you're in control
get to.
here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We should just go in like the order.
Yeah.
All right,
The regular order.
Horatio.
Oh, sure, make me go first.
That's
Is
the
Nate
idea.
saying something nice about other characters, or is Horatio saying something nice about other characters?
Oh,
That would be
like
a really
an
cool way to. That could be a
after
cool way to
cam
do it.
special. It's just like,
Yeah, I
hey,
like that. Let's in character say something nice about every other character, and I guess about the arbitrary forces of the universe. We can just say something nice about them. Yeah.
Tasty Boy through the Dimension was actually a reality TV show. Now here's the cam.
No, we were
Well,
we were the Truman
but
Show the whole time.
I think what's this? There's a door in this tree. Oh no, that did happen. What's Burbank? Yeah, I think yeah, I like the idea. We didn't always get a lot of like character talky time, like in a downtime sense. So maybe it's nice for like everybody just in character say something about everybody else's character that's nice, and then say something about benevolent forces of the universe.
All right. So I guess I will go in the order that we are here. Kletos, I appreciate the fact that you always look for the best in people.
Oh, thanks, Ricky.
Digger, I'm impressed by the changes those 3 years in the forest made to you.
3 years changes a man.
That's right. Lam, I'm happy you have a working lighter that you're not using to burn things down anymore. Yes, the safety's gone.
And just like that, Dan moved back in with his parents. Didn't learn anything.
They would kill me. They would kill me.
Rock, I'm impressed with all that you're learning about yourself and life energy.
See, that wasn't that hard.
And
None of the inanimate forces of the universe.
Yep. I'm appreciative that the inanimate forces of the universe have not given us anything that we can't handle.
That's a good one.
That was good. All right. Horatio, I love that you always have a song in your heart, and that you shared the songs in your heart with us and made us part of the song that's in your heart. Digger, I'm very proud of you. I'm glad that you finally found something for yourself. Lam, Don't set anything on fire. No, just kidding. Well, Lom, I'm really happy that you're trying to find. I really appreciate that you're trying to find a path with your family that works for you, and that you're doing it on your own terms. I think that's really impressive, and I'm proud of you for that. Rock, I appreciate that you are trying to learn how to be emotional in new and interesting ways, and stay warm, buddy. And inanimate forces of the universe, thank you for always letting our ideas come to life.
Horatio, thank you for being an actual challenge to me and to showing me that we might be on isn't necessarily the right path, and showing me that there's other ways to think. Cleos, thank you for everything. Teaching Digger that there is love in the world, that there's good in things, and that not everything is just inherently bad, and for making Digger grow up. Lom, thank you for making me always stay on my toes and have to think of new ways to create chaos and not just hit the greatest hits every time. Rock, thank you for showing me what true commitment to something you're passionate in can do by tricking us as a group with your disguises and staying full on in it no matter what, and showing that if you really believe in what you do and what you're into, that it's going to work. And to the inanimate forces of the universe, thank you for giving me my best friends and for giving me chances to grow as a cat and as a person throughout this fantasy world.
Lom.
Horatio, thank you for keeping me grounded for times I could not be. Cletus, you quickly became the, how should I say, the unintentional leader of our group at times. And for that, I am grateful, because we needed guidance a lot of times, and you were there to give it to us. And I appreciate that. Kat, you and I started this journey together all those years ago. We've laughed, we cried, I cut your tail off, you stabbed me, I punched you, you tried to kill me, I tried to kill you back. Very, very rocky relationship, but you grew. And you grew into a competent person and fighter, and for that, you have gained my utmost respect. You have always have a spot at my table. Rock, you become a great ally, an even better friend. Maybe my brother, but you are a brother to me in arms. And I love you, man. Thank you. And to the inanimate voice of the universe that's out there, this has been one wild story, and I can't wait to hear what happens next. Thank you.
Okay. Horatio, thank you for your sense of calm. Even in the most life-threatening moments of danger, which sometimes were me. But that was a very, very important and helpful thing. Digger, thank you for the incredible courage you showed every time in a fight, sparring session, knowing that you couldn't possibly win, but you were still in it and committed like you could. Lom, I thank you for your brotherhood in our group, and I hope that someday you will adopt our dad as well, and then maybe we can actually be brothers. Cletos, in a lot of ways, I would say thank you for being the father I never had. Because you really took me in and gave me guidance in a way that nobody had before. You're probably the first person I interacted with who didn't just point me at a target, and that was the end of it. So thank you for helping me to grow into something else. To the Imam horses of the universe, thank you for the air we got to breathe, the firmament we got to walk upon, and the everything that, like, you defined the life that we all got to live.
Oh man, I should have gone first.
Glad I did.
No kidding. Horatio, you never failed to find humor in situations that I didn't anticipate. And I feel like it takes a lot to start a story with one idea, and I think it takes a lot of courage to step back and say that I don't think this is a part of what this story should be. And so to Theodorus, who stepped aside, I'm really happy that we were able to have a story for Horatio, because I feel like he didn't deserve to be a one-hit wonder. He really deserved to have a full and healthy catalog of music that people could appreciate. And I think that everybody who interacted with Horatio was better for that, because I think that he had a kind of genuine love for people, like the charismatic part of the musician behind the bard. I think always finds a way to enhance other people, and that's a real kind of unique kind of magic, in the same way that I think bardic magic is. Cletos, when one conscience steps aside, another one steps in, and I think that Cletos is never wanted to be the leader. I think that he was the leader that the Boyz needed, because the Boyz were driven by a lot of emotion. You know, it's like funny just to think how much of each individual emotion. You guys are the Planeteers in a lot of ways, only without the really bad voice acting accents. There's there's you guys have great voice acting accents. Perfect. Always spot on, never change, all very consistent.
Very good.
But in the same way that I think Horatio brought out the best in the boys by always wanting to collaborate and work off each other. I think that there's nobody within the boys that wanted to lift the other boys up, both physically and emotionally, than Cletus. Do I wish you would have thrown people more often? Maybe. But I think that you threw us over a lot of hurdles, and I do really, really strongly believe that if Cletus would not have joined the boys in a maybe even a pre-boys state, that we would have played for this long. I don't think we would have ever made it to Flick, let alone Rock. So it's a pretty great opportunity to be able to share a story with somebody, and I think that you always wanted to kind of do that. Digger, I believe in my heart of hearts that if there's a hero's journey to be had here from someone who did not start in the kind of typical hero's place, that Digger would have that. And I think that sometimes, despite your best efforts to thwart those opportunities set in front of you, that eventually there was a moment where you realize that doing the same thing over and over again was making you insane, and I think it takes a lot of fortitude for someone whose natural inclination is to run when they're placed in that situation, whether that's kind of physically or emotionally. Again, to be able to engage in that battle that wasn't physical, despite as much as you'd like to poke it with a pole arm, it wasn't going to happen. And I think that making that shift was pretty magnificent. Lam, man, there was some moments where we had some close calls, but I'll be damned if that transition to the forest. I think that for as much as it changed Digger, I think it might have changed Lam even more. And I know that you hated with every fiber of your being having to confront family, but I think if, as one of the people that I think understood a chosen family from the kind of jump, that you didn't want to be with the family that was thrust upon you, but you wanted to be with that chosen family, there was a real connection, I think, to the forest and that understanding of like responsibility that like took Lam from being a tasty boy to a tasty man. That was lovely to see, especially because you have hundreds and hundreds of years ahead of you. Rock, man, you just grind through, and there's nothing more admirable than someone who is going after the same old grind and recognizes in kind of an ironically similar fashion to Digger that there's something better, and I just have to make that choice. And for you going from the kind of intelligence, even if it was kind of an artificially inflated intelligence, the moments of recognition that you had, you allowed to change you rather than being like completely frightened by them. Even if you were completely frightened by them, the change that occurred is pretty amazing. And that I think says a lot about where Rock was. That even the things that confused him to all get out, he found a way to accept and to let them warm him, in a lot of ways, make him a more warm character. So that was lovely. And then maybe if I can indulge, I'll go around the horn one more time with the people, because I feel like I didn't really get a chance to gush properly in your faces. Nate,
Don't gush in my face.
Yeah, I will. I'll go in reverse order because why not? Joel is one of my favorite people to play with, and it's because he is the Swiss Army knife of D&D. He has played so many different things. I think you see it from Party Starters, which you can get on the Apple Store, as well as DM's Guild. Party Starters Volume 1 by Joel Vollmer. Also, you can follow him on Finger Twitchings and et cetera, et cetera. But the fact that we got a second chance with Joel is the greatest fucking thing I think I could say about this going longer than I think any of us could have anticipated. I think that it takes a really kind of special person to be able to jump into a group of people that is like this close. And for me, like jumping in as Flick, jumping in, as Rock, what a amazing opportunity to not only do it for like altruistic reasons, saying like, hey, if you need another person, I could be raising even more money to help kids. And I would love to be a part of this group. And, the fact that came almost immediately, like, hey, if you want me to stick around, I could stick around, and it was a foregone conclusion, I think, from the first session that Joel played with us, especially after coming back, that it was like, it's like the one the one that you tell the fish story about, like Joel was the fish that got away, and we fucking landed him, and then we flayed him, and we ate him, and he's delicious, every last fucking morsel, Joel.
Got weird.
No. Also, I love that you had a Star Wars background ever since we played Star Wars together, Extra Life, and never changed that. It brings me great joy. Also, bringing so many moments of our time together to life through your drawings is like such an amazing gift. To like be able to have our characters jump off the page is such a treat, to like the point where a mutual friend literally saw this and was like, is that James? I don't think that there's anything that kind of speaks more volume to the commitment you had to the group than to kind of like give your own time to do these things that like make other people happy, which is awesome.
Still the background on my phone.
Well, it's crazy because that drawing of Cletos was from when I played as Flick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I go back.
It's amazing. I think it's one of the things I enjoy about playing with you. I enjoyed playing with my brother when we played in Alex's campaign, is that you'll just be sitting there and you'll just let these characters kind of jump off the page. And I think that's a real, your talent is a real gift, but I think that sharing that with others is a incredible gift, and especially, while we're all playing and trying to handle everything else that it kind of goes beyond for that. Dan, I from the first moment that I played D&D with you, did not believe for a goddamn second that you ever were a caster, and I still don't believe that you were ever a caster. And you can say whatever you want, and I don't care how much you deny it. There's no possible way that you were ever anything but a melee murder machine, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's been really gratifying for you and Oren, for me, being that there's a decade gap probably between us, that it was really amazing to see you guys grow as people. That sounds totally condescending, but I just think about how lovely it would have been to have a group like this. I had it in wrestling. I had Nate, and I had Randy, and I had our friend Nick. When I was in college, or kind of in those kind of mid-20 years, and I don't know that I would have anticipated the Dark Prophet and the Deferee to be such an integral part of all of this. But it's really great that it was, and I'm really really thankful for that. Oren, You went from someone that we had a really like weird relationship with to living in my house to living in a different state. And yeah, I it's a lot. You know, I think that ironically, Digger is such a kind of reflection on who you are and who maybe you saw yourself as when you started all of this, and I couldn't be happier to think about like a future for Or Invite that feels like the future for Digger is now, taking big responsibilities and you know, in like you said, you know, in the same way you framed it for Kletos, like taking the opportunity to look back and recognize things that you wish you might have done differently, but accepting them and moving forward. I think that's you know, it's one day at a time. So it's pretty impressive. Ryan Warrior, sorry.
There you.
I don't think that D and DDT would be. I mean, our game, King's Games. I don't think any of the games would be as rich or as public or as long lasting as they would be without having your energy around. I think that the same way that Joel brings these things to life, I think that you like literally will groups to be better. And I don't know. I've played with anybody that is like that. In the same way, especially being able to like be around as you were like really starting to like play D&D. Like that's one of the other things. Like I know that Dan had played before, Joel and Nate had played before, but like having two people that were like just discovering it, and you know, having just discovered it a couple of years before that myself, like being able to like live through that for other people and to like have that same excitement is just so infectious, and so I'm so grateful for it. I don't think I could have imagined a kind of team coming together out of what we had at the beginning to what we have now, you know, like it's crazy for all the people that have played, that, you know, the folks that we have with us. And Nate, I've said this before. It's such a strange thing that like the group of friends that I had, you know, when I was, you know, maybe kind of in the Dan and Oren years, of all of the people and all of the weird rotations that we've had cycling through, being friends and spending time together, that I feel like we are maybe the odd couple of the two people, which is ironic because we went to the same high school. I don't know if everybody knows that, but Nate like was just a year ahead of me in high school, and we literally, I don't know that I spoke more than 20 words to you before we were at the U together, and may not have if not for our mutual friend Eric.
Deep lore, I like it.
What's that?
It's a deep lore. I like it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, deep.
That's what the finish is all about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if Joel is a Swiss Army knife, you are like no doubt the bard session musician. I have seen you step into so many roles as a single character, but also just like having the good fortune to have played with you in so many different sessions. Like when you came to me and was like, I don't think this Theodorus O'Toole thing's working, man. I was like, oh, you should have let me kill them off with a fucking cow in the first place.
It's kind of an O'Toole.
Yeah, what an O'Toole. But yeah, like I said, I think it takes a certain amount of experience to be able to say like, this thing that I thought would work, that I was like really into, isn't the best thing for the group. And I there's a real selflessness to that, and I think that being a session musician is kind of the same thing, right? Like your name is never going to be at the top of the marquee, but that album is never going to sell if you don't have like an expertise to bring into it. And so when I said we needed a ringer, I couldn't think of anybody that I would like to to have as our inside man than Nate. So, and to the world we created. I think just like wrestling as a namesake for D&DDT, it was really great to tell a story together that was this robust and this emotional and this long lasting. And that's a pretty great gift to wrap up the year and the kind of main continuity here in D&DDT. So you should go back and relive it from the beginning. We'll be working on the wiki of the world. I've been working on that, listening back through. We'll be maybe doing some kind of reflections going back. If people want to listen along, if you've been watching, or for any party members that catch this last wrap. I'd love to revisit this world, and I look forward to the continuing adventures of D&DDT with the one and only Tasty Boys.
Tasty
Boys.
Recording stopped.
So let's go around the horn one more time. Tell them where you can find you. Tell them what your next adventure is, and then we'll sign up.
Recording stop doesn't hit the same as interdimension.
No.
Yeah,
No, it's true.
I was waiting for it, but I felt like we'd gone beyond interdimension.
That's all right. All right, so you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Cubicle Zombie, but really you should eye out on at Known World Unite just to see what's coming up next. There should be some interesting things.
You can find me on the socials at WarriorMN. You can also catch me right here on Known World United every other Monday for Down and Outlands. The Ringer's there too. Nate's there too. It's a good time.
He is, but he totally forgot to plug it.
It's okay. I was going to say something along the lines of like, I'm also on Down and Outlands, and I've spent like a year getting like plug stolen by Nate because he goes first. So I'm glad that you forgot. No, I don't have anything to plug. You can also, stay tuned to Known World United. I'm sure there'll be more. There'll be some fun sessions with the boys later next year. So hopefully you'll be able to find me here and hopefully elsewhere in 2022.
You can find me on all social media at OrInvite. You can find me on Twitch at OrInvite18. I do believe from this, you will be able to see me run my own campaign on Rocky Mountain Pro's Twitch, because I've had enough people come up and be like, hey, we really want to play D&D and we've never really gotten the chance to. And all I could think about was, hey, I was that guy. And I mean, Beard jumped in having never DM'd, and we've done this for 3 years. So I think I'm gonna give it a go with some of the.
That's awesome.
Some stars out here, and kind of that, because they really want to play, and it's a really fun group of people that I'd love the world to see a different side of, and I think that's going to be the next venture. But yeah, I mean, you'll see me 92 times on Rocky Mountain Pro's Twitch. Anyway,
you're working all 92 in 1 week, brother.
Yeah, so I'll be there anyway.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, you can find me on all of the socials at RefDanBits, and you can follow me here on Twitch here at Daxon33, DAXN33. And since it's the end of the year, it's the 29th today. I guess that means my small little break from wrestling is over. It means I go back to pushing shows and going back to the loop, because my next show I will be out in Thief River Falls, Minnesota for Destination Pro Wrestling. And and that is going to be a fun time. And hopefully, more information will come out soon. I think a match or two has been announced on the Facebook and Twitter accounts, but look out for those in the next coming weeks. Thank you, guys.
You can be on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, WordPress, at Finger Twitchings. Mostly you will see drawings and paintings. Speaking of which, I hope to be on Twitch tomorrow for a good chunk of time to finish up. I realized I never finished up the ink drawing
Flesh Golem.
of the horrible flesh golem made up
Oh,
of,
wow.
and I'd like to see if I can get that wrapped up before the end of the year, which seems appropriate.
Nice. That would be awesome. I'm playing 1/4 of that flesh golem in an upcoming one-shot.
Yes. So we've got that going on. James earlier mentioned Party Starters Volume 1, which is a book of pre-made characters with art and backstories. Apple Bookstore, Drive-Thru RPG. Yeah, I'm gonna miss this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Me too. So weird. Like, what am I going to do on Wednesdays?
It's a good question.
Go outside?
Oh,
Yeah, I
cold
mean,
out
you
there.
could catch Dante Martin on.
It's true.
Can't do that.
It's true
Yeah, fair
story.
enough.
So you can follow me on Twitter at Huey Beardwalks. Follow Heel Turn Radio. You can check out our channel, twitch.tv/Heel Turn Radio. Got Tiny Meng Tuesdays every Tuesday with my brother, Diamond Dave, and New Money Matt Lind, as well as Your King Ginger every other week. And I'll be there putting together a pretty sweet B-Wing. Also, you can catch the show within the show, Tea Time Tuesday, where I show up unannounced and uninvited and talk about tea for 15 to 20 minutes. So shout out to all my tea baggers out there. Pow. And please stay tuned to Known World Unite on Twitter, Facebook, Known World United. And if you have it within you, we are almost to $50,000 over the years raising money for children's specialty healthcare. I think we're $23 short. So bit.ly, bit.ly/Known World United 2021. A bunch of us are raising money. It doesn't make a difference who you donate to. Donate that. Let's put us over that hump. Tax deductible donation open through the end of the year. So if you've enjoyed what you see here, don't subscribe. Donate money to support Gillette's children's specialty healthcare here in the Twin Cities and broadly the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. It's why we have the channel in the first place. It's why we try to keep games going on throughout the years so we can make sure that we reach out to as many people as possible and support as many kids and their families that need support. So thanks for a wonderful 3.5 years, 140 plus episodes, and a lot of dead vampires. So for me, the Beard, and everyone at Known World United, this has been D&DDT with one and only Tasty Boys.
Hey,
Tasty
Steve.
Boys. Interdimensional.
There it is.